Quilters push back, yeah. Hey everyone, 372 pages will never get back. Michael J. Nelson here, and Connor Listoka is also on the line. Connor, hello.
Mike, hello. How are you doing in the cozy department?
I have on the biggest, fuzziest slippers that look like Malta poo puppies.
Well, that's quite a coincidence.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, my sister's multi-poo Instagram account is rocketing up the charts with 2,700 followers at this point. Little Rue, the multi-poo.
Okay, check it out. Let's see if it gets the 372 bump. Cozy level of the Instagram itself, would you say is off the charts?
I think it's cozy. I think it has the aesthetic of some, signs that indicate the coziness level, like, I'm going to stay inside and read, that type of thing. I mean, she's working the caption game pretty well.
Good. Is she a cozy person, or is she kind of putting it on because she knows where the cash is?
It's probably a little from column A, a little from column B, but like, yeah, okay, I don't think you get dog accounts definitely have a vernacular, I guess, and you don't see a lot of like sassy, like in your face, like rude dogs, so to speak.
There's got to be a goth cozy though, where it's like, where there's just a little bit of goth in it, but it's still at the same time.
Well, there's like
relaxing with my black fingernails or whatever.
Well, if you've started hanging with the wrong crowd, that's going to happen. But I think I think there's like that aggressively introverted goth, could at some point have some crossover with the Venn diagram of cozy, like
sure,
the going outside sucks type of thing, like
sure.
The sun, like I'd rather stay inside and hang upside down like a bat type of thing.
Right. This is all preamble to what this podcast is. So why don't you explain that?
Well, the podcast is where we're going to read books that we don't expect to like, and we've covered. This is the 16th book we've covered, and the mission of the podcast has borne out quite well. Although very often the books that we don't expect to like, cross back around into that level where they are. Certainly more entertaining to share and discuss than any book that you would sit down to read as a book that you expected to like. You know what I mean? If you were sitting down to read a book about General Omar Bradley, 4-star general, much like the man that Gabe's ex-wife is seeing, her new friend, mm-hmm. You would not expect to share with me anecdotes that would leave us both, wiping tears away, or to say to someone, "You'll never believe what I read." Like you're really going to get a kick out of this.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because my wife Bridget is reading the giant tome on Ulysses S. Grant, and she's loving it. She's like, I got to read you this part. I'm like, you please do not read me. So I will read it after she's done, but it is intensely, it's very, very long. So it's and she's a fast reader, but it's taken her a while. So.
Right. Well, and so, we've encountered some of those books too. And that sort of, that has a large impact on what we, whether we like the books or not, whether they are, slogs to get through, much like Midnight Sun or Shadow Moon was, or quick page-turning, cozy reads like The Quilters Push Back, Book 7 in the Miranda Hathaway series.
Yeah, this I won't bury the lead. This is easily one of my favorite books. There's no reason to hide that, right?
No, I don't think we were shy about it last time, but there was a few slower spots in this one, but where it shone, it really shone through, even more so than the last 50 pages we read. Yeah,
I agree with you. It did. There's some clunker chapters, but everybody they can't all be triples,
right? Yeah, exactly. So. And that could be the nature of writing a book with 3 people. You have, if you've got the White Album, you're going to have a few Ringo songs. So maybe that's the Beth Devlin Kuhn chapters. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. You're going to have a Revolution number 9 in there somewhere.
God.
Yeah.
I would also just like to say, you didn't ask me about my coziness level, and my coziness level is at an all-time high because I got we got it, but I read it, so I got it. It was a Amazon gift card sent to us by Carrie, one of our Patreon supporters. and he had it earmarked to help enhance our comfortable dip into the cozyverse. Okay, well, I guess it says here is enough for each of you to get a box of this lovely item. Bigelow Cozy Chamomile Tea, caffeine free.
Oh, that is
I
cozy
have
as hell.
poured myself a mug of it. I'm clutching it with two hands, taking a 1 second just to big hearty sip, and I guess I will send you your own box because there was enough for two. Sorry. Well,
Gabe gave that away on the air. That's good to know. How many times has that happened where you haven't said it on the
air? But yeah, it says the little card that came with it says you look hot in mom jeans, which I think we can probably relate to after reading some of this. I think it's cozy, and you wear mom jeans because they're cozy, and so it all adds up.
Yeah. Well, let's get cozy.
Yeah.
The book is called The Quilters Push Back.
Yes, because it's dealing with the Quilter Guild of Cutler, Pennsylvania. Quilter Guild number 1.
Yeah. Wait. Is it? Yeah, that's what it's called. But there is only one, right?
Yes, and I don't know whether it's a joke or whether they've, they ran the other Quilter Guild out of town. Like there can be only one type of style. Whether they, absorbed their other members, they're fallen after some sort of coup or cabal.
I'll give it to him that it's a joke. It seems at about the level that the Quilters would come up with.
Yes, it's not high-level stuff here. What you see is
great,
very much what you get.
Yes. And so the story so far is the Quilters, Miranda, it's all about weddings. I should have started there. There's weddings galore.
Yeah, first things first.
Yeah, first things first. Miranda is the narrator, sort of. That breaks down at points.
Oh man, it gets into like my mother is a fish type of thing where you're like, who is talking and what is going on in this book? It's very abstract at times.
It's very strange, especially when flashbacks happen. But we'll get to the nuts and bolts. In essence, it's a bunch of quilters fighting the interstate, bringing a new brand of pusher into Cutler, Pennsylvania.
Yes. And there's been a wedding. We have another wedding being planned, which is, the kids are dying, but the wedding still does not take a backseat just yet. There's still a lot of plans to do. So she's forging on with that because, of course, the wedding is mere weeks away on Valentine's Day.
True.
In a Wednesday as well. So
girls are being groomed by pushers. And then dropped off at emergency room doors.
Left to die at the emergency room.
After overdosing on, what was it, X-bars?
X-bars. So,
which
Xanax.
Sound delicious.
Yeah, exactly. They're like an off-brand, you drive by like something that was called a discount bakery a lot in San Diego, I feel like. And you always wondered, like, how big of a discount are we really getting at this bakery? But that's sort of an off-brand tasty cake or something.
Right. So right now, I guess we just had there's been 2 victims, I think. And so.
Well, yeah. So we've Jenny is in the hospital. She's the person who was groomed, who ate all the X-bars, who is wearing black lipstick and black fingernail polish, which we've been watching Face Off for Riff Tracks, and there's a moment at the very beginning of that when they indicate that the daughter is going down a wrong path because she's essentially wearing that exact outfit.
Yep, it's exactly the same.
But then also we get filled in the beginning of chapter 11 that Irma, the receptionist, very cozy name, told Miranda that the Mortons' youngest boy, John, was brought in to the hospital as well, and he didn't make it. So we've lost one. And they were both community college students. So that's sort of where the epicenter is believed to be at this moment.
Right. And who is telling this? Is this Lucy is saying this?
Sorry, no. Irma, the receptionist.
Oh, Irma. And she went to school with John's older brother.
Okay.
So there's I just want to not lose the fact that there's another character. He just doesn't get a name.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So we're 2 paragraphs in, we have 3 new characters.
Yes, just wonderful.
Just pointing that. Yes.
But so she says, she's sort of like, Miranda, we must do something. And she says, oh yeah, so that is Sarah. Irma told Sarah that the Mortons' youngest boy, John, was brought in. So at this point, it's like telephone. It could be like, no, Irma's like, I did not say that. You completely misheard, having this been passed along. But so Miranda says, Sarah, let me run this past Gabe and see if the local police have any idea this is going on. So we get some more. We get to meet a lot of the local police right now, and they don't seem wildly incompetent. It's a small town police force, but you would hope that as the rate of ODs that we learn is happening, as well as deaths happen, that the police might have some sort of idea. They're not just napping at their desk like Don Knotts or something.
Maybe that's just her being, underselling the police. I'm sure they're very, very competent. I just want to give people, this is, I don't think we said the chapter, by the way. This is chapter 11. And I just want to give you a flavor of what the reading goes like. Mm-hmm. She took a breath. I went to the hospital to do my volunteer shift. I saw Archie and Janet Heidel coming through the front doors. They looked just awful, Miranda. I went over to the reception desk, and my friend Irma told me their Jenny is in the hospital with some kind of drug overdose. It takes so much work to go, wait, Archie and Janet? Oh, okay.
The Heidels, yes.
I have notes on it now, so I can skip back and forth, but it is shockingly difficult to read.
Well, it's one of those scenarios where, we later meet another character, and he is dropped into the course of action as if we are old friends, as if you open up, a Game of Thrones book, and it's like Tyrion was going here, and you're like, well, of course, Tyrion has been along this journey the whole way. But I got the doc up so I could search for names, and it's just like chapter 16, the first time this character's mentioned. But you're supposed to be like, was this one of the 172 characters and I just forgot, or was it brand new? It's brand new.
Oh, the character list rises. It's one of the things that makes me laugh the hardest.
So yeah, she says, Sarah, I think says, Sarah's one of the twins. I feel better knowing you and Gabe are on the case. I'll talk to Queenie too. The Cutler Quilt Guild is not going to stand by and watch our kids. She choked up again. So it pretty much sounds like they're forming like a vigilante posse. They're going to take the law into their own hands.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if we've done a lot of movies. This seems like a B movie plot.
Right, sure.
Where they then there's a montage of them like
recruiting
their shotguns and stuff.
Yep.
Melissa McCarthy and
right, yeah, doing push-ups as she eats a hot dog with one hand, but doing one-arm push-ups with the other.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it's like we did a couple. Like McBain was a movie we did. We did the one with that guy who was in Space Mutiny. He forms a vigilante posse. There was two of them.
Yeah.
Damn, whatever. But yeah, so they're forming essentially like the Homer Simpson's thing to take out the cat burglar. They're just going around and they're going to boss people around and hit people with sacks of doorknobs and stuff. It's very exciting.
So she goes to meet Diane, mm-hmm. her BFF,
yes.
at the Tavern. The Tavern is where Lizzie is the waitress, apparently the only waitress, who has a gigantic crush on her husband.
Yes, on Gabe.
Ex-FBI Gabe. And so this just leads me to a Sonic challenge to you.
Oh, all right. I got one later.
This is Diane D. Humph. She still wore her frowny face, in quotes. Okay. So that's just color for your humph.
Okay. Humph. So it's with a, exactly, a grumpy cat face is how she's sort of doing it.
That was nice. That was well done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, so the Lizzie connection is, I think Lizzie might be, the waitress, but also the owner of the tavern. But we need to know more about this relationship because Miranda, who has been, the sweet old lady, the kindly mother of the bride, all this stuff, just brings out the claws in this moment. It's spectacular. She sort of lets it slip to Lizzie that she's getting married and does not hold back. She says, "Oh, Gabe's at home working on wedding plans. I know, but I couldn't help myself." Lizzie stiffened. "Really? So when is the big day?" "Valentine's Day. I'd invite you, but I'm sure you'll be busy here all day." So she just like absolutely sharpens her claws. And, the tavern, going to be a big Valentine's Day crowd. Not entirely sure about that. She might be able to carve out some time or find a sub if she really wanted to.
But it puzzles Diane. Well, it appalls Diane when she answers, "That's true. We're usually busy on Valentine's Day. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure I could watch the man of my dreams marry the other woman." And our fearless narrator bursts out laughing, but Diane looked totally appalled. So then when they sit down, she explains it. Like, I let him flirt with her. It's, it's just... So that's the first part of it.
And it's revealed that Lizzie is married as well. So she's just,
happily, yes.
All sorts of weird sexual stuff going on here. Just, people lording their relationships, their loving FBI agents over the lowly tavern owner.
Yes.
Yeah, I love the burst out laughing. It was just a cackle, I'm guessing.
Yes. And then this whole chapter mostly is about Diane setting up our narrator to pick a wedding dress by doing, I don't know what this is called in experiments or whatever, by giving her 2 false examples and then a good example of a dress. So she gives her 2 crappy ones to force her hand to choose the one that, of course, is perfect. And this is my Optic challenge. Okay. Can you picture any of this?
Yeah.
You ready? Now, I know this is not meant for us, so I'm not making fun of this.
Sure.
Next photo was a cream-colored jacquard sheath. It was short and sleeveless with a squared-off neckline. It was paired with a jacket of cream lace with long sleeves. I could immediately see the double strand of antique pearls I'd inherited from my grandmother at my throat.
Ugh. It sounds like a weird sort of fake nation in a movie military outfit or something.
Yes.
Like just a guy's henchman sort of standing behind a dictator.
I guess this is the equivalent of, I've never read any Tom Clancy, but someone once showed me an example of it. It's like 3 paragraphs of the X-300 missile was,
Sure, or those Master and Commander books,
Yeah.
Gunnels and Fibberty Gibbets and all that stuff.
Yeah, so this is, you just kind of skipped that. But anyway, that was an Optic challenge we both failed at, I guess.
I like how when Diane wanted to talk wedding dresses, we got this amazing exchange. The last thing I felt like doing was looking at wedding gowns. The thought of kids dying from overdoses right here under our noses was eating at my insides. I told Diane as much. She replied, "Oh, I know. I get it." Is there a but? Yes, there is. But whether we like it or not, what's happening? You are getting married soon, and we need to get this together, okay? It's like, well, we did make these plans yesterday to reserve the Moose Lodge or wherever we're doing this, and it is in a matter of weeks. So if there was a some sort of overdose epidemic, we might be able to delay it just a little bit. Like get those rich people in Boston to front any sort of cancellation fees or something.
Well, they get down to business, and they decide that the drug might be pushed to the college.
Yes.
So they narrow it down because it's probably not happening at the old folks' home.
Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's probably not happening at the hobby store.
Francine's Formals, no,
yeah. So
X bar free with your cream colored jacket.
Yes. So yeah, they figure out that it's at the college, so they decide to check on it. They're gonna get someone who knows someone in college, and then they'll figure it out from there.
Yes. And they say that they talk about the students, and I think Diane is a teacher, and she's choked up because one of the students, the guy who died, was in her English class, and they talk about Jenny, who's in the hospital, and she said, "But Mandy, she was such a straight arrow, a nerd, for heaven's sake. Drugs, it makes no sense." And Miranda replies, "Apparently she's been running with the wild crew. Black clothes, black lipstick, fingernails, the works."
There it is.
Wild. And it's not like it's, they didn't set the book in 1992 or something like that where this would be shocking. It's like, well, it's,
yes.
It is, I think canonically 2018 in the book.
It has been a look since the early 70s, yes, so that's quite a while.
Oh, really? She's gone with a cliched, rebellious look? That's very unimpressive.
But towards the end of this chapter, we get a tantalizing glimpse of Max Ryan Sr.
Max Ryan Sr., yes. They drop that Senior right there without us knowing what they're talking about or why.
Now that Max Ryan's left town, it's been pretty quiet. I know, but all Max's troubles seem like playground stuff compared to actual drug dealers, don't they? And then it's just left. We don't know who is this Max Ryan fella. So
right.
More to come. But
yeah, we do get more to come. He has a absolutely fascinating backstory.
Yes.
And I believe that as we discussed in their previous cases, like part of the reason we picked this book was because they're dealing with drug deaths, and all the other books were like, stealing the change jar from the quilting bee, and that was where it's revealed that Max Ryan was one of the guys who perpetrated that heist.
Yeah, Max Ryan Jr.
Max Ryan Jr., yes.
Yes.
But yeah, they wrap things up here with a quick hug and saying, "I'm on it, Sherlock. Talk soon, Watson." So we have some sort of a razor sharp banter back and forth between our two heroes.
They're BFFs.
But unless you have anything else, we move on to chapter 12, which is
Chapter 12.
maybe the best one in the book so far.
Oh, do tell. I didn't. They're all good, but
right. But this one, it's when you get the digressions, like the lengthy digressions about characters, where you just like we've said before, it's just beyond the realm of what you would expect from this kindly book.
Oh, you're talking, of course, about Jake Perryman,
late police chief Jake Perryman. Yes.
The book opens, by the way, with children are dying, but she and Gabe are still playing these dumb games where, "Hey, sweetheart, what's up?" a familiar male voice said. "Who is this? How did you get my private number?" "Very funny. Does everyone call you sweetheart?" "Well, sure. Now I'm trying to remember why I called you in the first place." Jenny is dead, for God's sake.
Yes.
Come on.
And it's just like you read it. That's what I said before. There's no indication who is talking, whether this is like an obscene, like threatening phone call because she's sticking her nose into business she doesn't belong. Like, we're left to infer that it's her loving husband, Gabe.
Yep. No, it does not until you read all the way through like several more paragraphs. You're like, oh, it's Gabe, and they're just dicking around. Okay.
He's essentially just being like, "Guess what I'm wearing? I've got some whipped cream at home. I can't wait to, spray it on behind your ears when you get back during Double Jeopardy." But yeah, so she says, "It was turning into a long day. Half of me wanted to make wedding plans and half of me wanted to go wring the necks of whoever was poisoning our children." I'm glad it's still an even divide at this point in time, priority wise. But yeah, they go on to discuss former police chief Jake Perryman, who had succumbed to a heart attack, and Gabe had a nagging feeling he should have seen it coming. He wasn't alone. And we get a extremely cozy section here. The description of Jake is he was a big man, overweight and out of shape. Everyone in town knew it, but no one spoke up. So I guess they knew he was overweight. It was a sort of a silent secret. Even his wife, although she tried, couldn't get him to go to the doctor. She served salads a couple times a week, but knew as soon as Jake left the house, he would head out to the drive-through burger joint by the mall.
All right. Put a stop on that one. So he would leave after dinner,
right? Yes,
and drive to the mall, because I'm assuming she's not serving the salads for breakfast, and then he's going off and stopping at the joint before work.
Yeah, he's certainly not walking to the mall. Yeah.
So after dinner,
she's patting the couch to come watch Jeopardy, and he's like, "I've got to go."
He's like, "I got to go. There's police. There's big
police
big
business.
Man, overweight, out of shape police business that I have to do."
Max Ryan Jr. is back in town. It's all APB. His stomach rumbles like.
And then so he goes to the drive-through burger joint at the mall, and because everyone in town knows that he's overweight but won't speak up, then with trembling hands they hand him a sack of a sack of sliders.
Right, yeah. The 16-year-old kid is like, this. "I don't know if you should be doing this, Chief." It's like, "Just give me the goddamn burgers, Jimmy."
But slaps it out of the kid's hand.
It's such a weird way to put it. Everyone, he was overweight and out of shape. Everyone knew it. Like, it's as if, he's hiding a drinking problem or an addiction or something. But it's like, it's like, well, we can observe. We have our sense of sight here.
But then we learn a very funny thing about Jake is that, he seemed to be well liked, but he was not a good cop. And I'll tell you why. Here's the next paragraph. Jake did okay, as long as the most serious crime in town was the occasional drunk and disorderly, or kids skateboarding on the high school parking lot. Is that a problem?
Right.
Well, anyway, then a woman was murdered, and the stress simply killed him. He collapsed in the station, and an ambulance took him away. He never came home. So
it's like someone dying of a broken heart in Star Wars or whatever. Yeah, that's how every good, like, Silence of the Lambs should start that way. That's why Clarice has to come to town. The former guy dies of stress when a basic crime is committed.
Wow, so nothing had ever happened. I mean, it really was like Mayberry, nothing ever happened.
Right, yeah.
And then, if Barney would have had a heart attack if they actually found like a dead prostitute in Mayberry.
Yes.
Oh, Andy.
But so, like, what do you think? Everyone in town knows he has a weight problem. They're all his secret post-dinner rendezvous at the Burger Shack are probably public knowledge as well. Who told him about this murder? Like, you must have really thought you were rolling the dice when you had to be like, doing the knock on the door frame, sir. He's polishing off, a double or whatever. Yeah. Sir, we've got some bad news. Of course, you're obviously sitting down. You don't do a lot of walking.
Skateboarders again?
No, sir. The skateboarders are actually under curfew. They're not going to be skateboarding past 6 p.m. because, well,
Thousand Island dressing on my shirt.
Hang on, sir. Go
ahead.
All right, Billy, are you sure you don't want to tell him? I drew the short straw, sir. Marnie Jenkins was found dead.
What?
Yes, she was found dead in a ditch. Her face was beaten beyond recognition. We had to take dental records. Are you okay, sir? Sir?
Crime in the town of Cutler.
Sir, you're a police chief. This is going to happen. Billy, it happened just like I predicted. Get in here. It's going to take a couple guys to haul him out. So just cozy stuff,
disrespectful to Jake Perryman.
Right. Well,
but then the story takes
just even cozier. Turn. Yeah, take a big sip of your chamomile tea that I forgot to send you. And
yes, okay, I will.
But it says, as hard as it was for everyone who knew him, his wife Taylor was devastated. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
you lose your wife, your husband, due to a freak murder that he probably should have been more steeled for. But it turns out, for months, she'd been driving to Pittsburgh weekly to visit her brother, who had a rare form of cancer. He died a slow, agonizing death, but Taylor was there for him. Less than 3 months later, she buried her husband. So it's really, that it's the sleepy time bear here in book form. You're just under a blanket. You got one of those fire videos going on your TV. Just really curling up for some cozy adventure.
It reminds me of yesterday we recorded something, The Minion with what's the name?
Dolph Lundgren.
And in it there was someone was beating someone else with a rod, and so we made a joke about Rod from Epidemic, so it had nothing to do with it. So we pull him from wherever the heck Rod is just sitting there doing nothing, and we insult him. The off-screen thing of he died a slow, agonizing death made me think this, like, hey, I'm not even part of this book.
Right, exactly.
Just leave me
just
alone.
Introduced me.
Yes.
So Taylor has had a rough go, but we'll move on. It keeps going. She'd
Yep.
always wanted a family, and they'd been unable to have their own child. She'd finally convinced Jake that maybe adoption was their best option. Then she was alone. It is. I mean, not to bring up the same three movies all the time, but it's like Lisa's mom, who just, at the party in the room, like, I definitely have breast cancer. Like,
Yes.
So yeah, husband dead, brother dead, unable to conceive, alone.
I'm just sitting here. I'm not really even part of this story, please.
Right.
But then it goes on, and so then a miracle happened, and they just find a baby.
Yes.
At the library, I think, right?
Yeah, they get a Harry Potter miracle. Someone leaves a baby on the doorstep of the library.
But the writers of this know that can't be the end of the story. That is somebody's baby. You don't just get to give it to a person.
Right, yes.
So they say that they help her fight her way relentlessly through the social services system until the little girl was hers.
Yeah. It says,
there you
the
go.
adoption was still in process, but we're about halfway through the 6-month waiting period, and now Taylor has a daughter. Gabe comforted himself with that thought and moved on.
So that was the thing that made me spit take. Like, wait, what? And then you go back 6 paragraphs and you realize, okay, she's narrating everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then she says, there's this paragraph before all this about Jake, a big man, overweight, out of shape. I knew it. I never spoke up. I'm sorry for that. Mm-hmm. But Gabe would never get used to walking into the Cutler Police Department and seeing the photograph of the late Chief Jake Perriman hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
So what it is our narrator is beaming herself into Gabe's head and narrating what's happening to Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe sort of saw the picture.
And then he reminisces for 6 paragraphs about her story, and then he comforts himself and moves on.
Yeah, he gets sort of a Christopher Walken Dead Zone moment where he sees, he tilts his head back and sees this whole flashback of the chief and then his wife and the daughter and all that stuff, and then he just shakes his head and goes, well, "That was weird. All right, let's move on."
But serious question did Gabe then tell her this so that she's able to narrate it?
Oh, I mean, in the previous 50 pages, we got those chapters that were subtitled like Martin and stuff. So that was obviously a third person thing. Our hero does not know that Martin is in a hotel room putting on a false mustache and dying.
Yeah, that's legit. But here she's directly narrating, and then it switches without any.
Maybe he did another patented Gabe phone call. He called her up and was like, "Hey, what are you wearing? I was just at the police station thinking about overweight Chief Jimmy, and
who is this? I don't know who this is.
Oh, well, you better sit down because I'm going to tell you about Taylor's brother's death in Pittsburgh of an agonizing
Wait till I open my robe slightly for you."
Yeah, that's what Gabe likes. But yeah, so it's a very peculiar, unusual, some might say like revolutionary form of storytelling.
I guess so. I'll just it's Inception-y, and we just have to deal with it.
Right. But then once we're finished with that page and a half litany of suffering, Gabe moves in and meets. I'm sorry, who was the old police chief? Oh, Jake.
Jake
Current police chief is Jimmy. And so he comes in, and there's like people there from a out-of-state task force that's going to help with this problem. Gabe is there, obviously, to consult as a retired FBI agent, because if there's anything movies have taught us, it's that local police departments love help from the FBI. Every time the FBI shows up and says, "We're taking over," the police says, "No problem. Go right along, sir.
Thank goodness.
Our jurisdiction is your jurisdiction." But they're cool.
I just want to point out before, because I don't know if this will come up again, but so Jimmy is the police chief.
Yep.
He is not James, who works at the print shop, nor is he Jim Marshall, the insurance agent, who will be coming later. I just want to make sure everyone knows we're not talking about James at the print shop or Jim Marshall, the insurance guy.
Right.
When we're talking about Jimmy. So
I wish that there was like, I get it. Obviously, you look at the back of the book, you or the picture of the authors on Amazon, you get a sense of what this town is like demographic wise. But I wish there was just a, then Hakeem came to the Quilting Guild party or something like that. Or, we just have a guy who's obviously not a middle-aged white guy that's walking around town.
Yeah, there's you're not getting names that imply that there's Sikh or Vietnamese or anything. Yes.
But yeah, so Jimmy, James, John, whatever, is there, and he's providing some eye-opening statistics about the rate of these overdoses we're getting. He says, "You'll see that we have everything from shoplifting to arson, from stolen beer to domestic disputes, and now within the last 6 months, our hospital records indicate 3 drug overdose patients per week. Yes, per week." And so this was just an eye-opening, based on what we've been told in the book. We just learned about this when the black lipstick girl, went to the hospital. But if you thought people had their head in the sand about the former chief's weight problem, they've just been sort of like letting the bodies stack up here.
Yeah, that's pretty high body count.
Yeah, because later it says they say something along the lines of when they're planning the town meeting, they're like, well, now we just have to see if we can get a town of 3,000 people to go along with the plan. So you look at the statistics for 3 a week for 6 months. That's like, plus the most recent 2 is almost 80. So that's right. 3% of the town has OD'd in the past half of a year. So they really just can't get enough of the drugs here. Like the people, they're soon going to be outnumbered by those who are not ODing.
Well, look, they're not sitting still. Who's the new guy? I don't have his name right here. I love that the new characters in this police meeting are off the charts, but
right, yeah, I think someone was from the from the big city, the state task force.
There's a big city going, but there's also a guy that they hired who's been there for 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And let me chart his competency. So for the past 6 months or so, basically since I started, we've charted every complaint and every crime within our town limits. Well, pretty sure that's just basic job description right there.
What were they doing before he started? Just I'll put it in the pile, jackass. Yeah, quitting time.
Tell it to someone else. Who gives a crap?
Yeah. So this is just since this guy started that they've had a record of 6 per month. Who knows what they were doing before they started actually taking notes about the crimes in their town?
I don't know.
Yeah, but so that guy you're talking about is an ex-military hire, as is there's just pretty much, you got to assume that every guy is going to be ex-military in the book going on if they're in some sort of position of authority in Cutler.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the regular who are the I got to check my list, which is I think now hit 3 pages of characters. The cops. Sorry, I got it. Okay, Jimmy's the chief of police. Mm-hmm. Ron Mitchell and Joey Traxler are the patrolmen.
Right, yes.
Okay, and so Joey, here's a description of him. And I think he's flirting with Gabe. So I think Lizzie's got some competition from Joey.
Okay.
Everyone stared at Joey. He was usually quiet, and yet he'd voiced the big question everyone else had been wondering about at the same time. Gabe was impressed and nodded, which brought a smile to Joey's face.
Well,
so a little flirting on the side from Joey the patrolman and Gabe, the handsome, slim ex-FBI guy.
Well, if we know anything about our heroes, is that they love to toy with other people's emotions. It really gets them going.
That's
so
true.
I guess, whether men or women doesn't matter. But yeah, Joey sounds new, so maybe he's just trying to sort of impress people. He sees himself as maybe once Jimmy hears about an unexpected murder and drops dead from the shock of it. That's Joey's time to shine, baby.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But they after this sort of lengthy meeting, they come up with the idea, and the idea is to have a town meeting and then put up a bunch of posters. So they're not exactly gearing up to like I said before, bust heads with rolled up sacks of quarters or something like that. They're just gonna do it the way that Encyclopedia Brown would handle the problem.
Yeah, this is not. This doesn't kind of go like Scorsese level here, where it's like, look, this is under the table, but. I know a guy. I'm gonna cut him. And we're gonna find out there's nothing.
They make Gabe do a line of blow just to prove that he's like, you got to be dirty if you're gonna work here. Otherwise, we don't know if we could trust you, Serpico.
Yeah, they come at you with a knife. You come at them with a gun. No, there's none of that. But Gabe he unveils a little bit of his FBI prowess here. This is him summing everything up after Dom, who is from the drug task force, finishes speaking.
Okay.
He says, I think this is a tremendous opportunity for Cutler. Yes, we have a drug element, but for now it's mostly drive-through traffic from the cities. They pop in and out so fast, we don't get a chance to nail the bastards. If we get the citizens involved, we may have a better chance of busting up these supply chains. So they come in so fast because of the freeway.
Yeah.
They can't catch them.
Are they implying that they are just literally driving on the freeway and hurling a package of drugs out into a drainage ditch or something?
I think that's what they're saying. Like they're putting, it's like the tennis ball in a sock that you throw. They just whiz by and spin it out the window. Well, yeah, people pick it up.
Pick up the stash at the exit sign that says there's a IHOP and a Red Robin. That's the one that that's where the drops happen.
Right. And then they see the guy do it, but it's like, well, go get him. Well, I can't. He's on the interstate.
Right. Yeah.
It's over.
Any idea how fast he's going? But so in the last chapter, Miranda had mentioned that some people might have tried pot back in the day, but our worst problem had always been underage drinking, although the new interstate highway exchange made it easy to access products and services we need.
Yes, goods and workers.
Yes. I bet my last $1 it was providing access to the college and the town for big city drug dealers. And so it's, you could sometimes sense an author's hidden agenda, and this one, the book pretty much becomes an anti-interstate system.
It's totally, yep.
No word if she's just an anti-Eisenhower kind of guy, since that was sort of his initiative.
Yeah,
or
that was his. Yeah.
If she was a Route 66 aficionado and is disappointed that once historic kitschy highway has sort of faded away due to the higher speeds of the cross-country interstates, but who knows?
Yeah, that cliche if you ever seen the the electronic press kits for movies when the actors have to gas off, and so they always do something stupid like I like to think that New Orleans is another character in the movie.
Utter pet peeve of mine. Revolting.
So much. That the interstate is.
It's a love letter to.
The interstate is the villain in this movie, but this is actually true. It's like this dark, ominous force.
And I guess if they're going so fast, but for a small town, I don't know. It makes. I saw a theory that the reason that the Four Seasons total landscaping was picked was just its proximity to the interstate, to be like, if we're doing a press conference, we need to get in and out of Philadelphia as fast as possible. And I was like, that kind of makes sense. If you're just you don't want to deal with stoplights, you don't want to deal with four-way stop signs. So it does speak to their ease of access.
Yeah, it is. Here's the shocker at the end of the chapter, though, for me. As you said, 2018, right?
I believe so.
Okay. I'll talk with the school superintendent in the morning to see if we can use the auditorium for the meeting. It's really the only space that can hold a couple of hundred people all at once, and I'm hoping for a good, solid turnout. So, Cutler hasn't had all-school drug meetings before? It was literally 30% of my schooling,
man.
Stop doing math and come to the auditorium because there's another anti-drug guy coming in to talk. It was just constantly, right?
Right. There's a reason that, we did a McGruff short, and that was, he was omnipresent. I feel like there was a guy dressed as McGruff, almost, once a month at your school. We saw elaborate, presentations with, puppets and stuff that, the hospitals were putting on. It was, that was, I was in elementary school in the 80s, so it was sort of the height of that, but yeah, insane to imagine they'd never done it before, and maybe why 3% of the population is dying from ODs every week.
Bridget used to she played, one of her gigs was she played a grieving mother where they would do it outside on the football field, and they would bring in an actual crashed car, and then they would mock drag out a body, and then she would be driven up in cop cars. And a helicopter would land, and then she would have to just sit there and sob over the dead child. And so it's I think this stuff has been going on. I don't think so. Cutler had never heard of drugs and they'd never seen a pamphlet, and there's not a poster they've been sent by the.
What were you doing that? Were you at the office playing Doom or something? Well, she'd come back home and just be like, I gotta do something to decompress from that. I really inhabited the character too much. I'm waking up screaming.
She said that it was incredibly effective. She said she would just, when she could see, she would just see children were just weeping and crying out, and some of them were parted off and stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then she's weeping and she yells, "And my brother died in Pittsburgh of a rare and painful form of cancer too." I can't have children.
I can't have children. All right, lady, stop laying it on so thick.
Yeah, you had a script. Well, I think that is, so we are left with the idea to have the meeting, the first of its kind in Cutler, and we move to chapter 13, which I didn't have a lot here. We get Jimmy's perspective here. He's bringing in Jim, who, again, is an ex-military guy. And he goes to the hospital to see, what was her name? The black lipstick girl, because he's worried that Jenny, Jenny. He's worried that whoever left her at the hospital might come back to finish the job in a way of that only happens in movies.
Yes. So is he's protecting her, or he's like making sure that?
Yeah,
because you got Archie and Betty,
her parents, right?
Yeah. The parents,
yeah.
the Heidel family,
of course.
Archie, Jenny, and Betty.
And I think he probably goes to Irma or something, the receptionist, and says, like, we need, I don't know why he has to go there and tell her this since he's the police chief. But he's like, I want a man outside her office. It's like, well, can you send Jim? Can you send Joey? Like, why did you have to come here and tell me that, we need to be careful?
Yeah, you could send, Ron Mitchell. You
sure.
could send Ron Mitchell. Yeah.
Ex-Green Beret, I'm sure.
Sure.
But he does talk to Mr. Heidel, and Mr. Heidel clenches his fists, and his face goes dark. I'll tell you right now, Chief, you better find this bastard before I do, or you'll have to make 2 arrests. So he's implying that he's going to just really rough up the drug dealer, but he's not going to kill him or anything.
Well, yeah, that's foreshadowing as well. So. But yeah, I don't have a lot for that.
Yeah, it was when we get away from the weddings and coziness, I think they're doing a bit more reaching to put themselves in these characters' minds. So
yeah. Chapter 14.
Mm-hmm.
Baka Chicka Wow. This was part of the fanfic.
Oh yeah,
real or fanfic from last time, and this tricked me.
Yeah, it is. It's probably the sexiest moment we've had yet. We get we get another conversation where we don't know who is speaking at the start of it, so that was very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get the car pull in, and Gabe walked through the door. I was, as I often am, overwhelmed with the reality that this gorgeous man was mine. It never ceases to amaze me. And so you might think that, like, Gabe might look a little run down. He's been thinking about former police chief Jake. He's been thinking about his wife Taylor and her brother. He has been at this. I think the guys went to the tavern afterwards to talk about this meeting. So we had a long day. But Gabe comes in just like glowing and ready to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what actor are you thinking of for Gabe?
God, I mean, maybe just a slightly graying John Hamm or something. I mean, that's what we're led to believe, right? He's just a square-jawed man's man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Younger, obviously, young Sean Connery, only with kind of silvery hair.
Yep.
Just like suave, put together, but also muscular, tall, slim. Yeah, he's just something, man.
Gerald McRaney, maybe, just putting it out there.
Okay, yeah. Who was the guy who he was in? He played the genie in that really bad
Barry Bostwick.
Young Barry Bostwick.
Sure, yeah,
yeah, kind of slim and silver fox,
kinda. Right? Yeah. Barry Bostwick in the Pepsi Twist ad where Halle Berry reveals that she's Barry Bostwick.
Oh yeah, okay.
Much to the guy's disappointment. But yeah, so they come in and they get down to business. Maybe there's something about shopping for a wedding dress that makes a girl think about her guy. I ran my hand through his hair, and when he closed his eyes, I pulled him down to kiss him again. Dessert? Absolutely. Later, we were seated at the kitchen table.
And then they have to say, I like when characters have to say this to themselves, like, I sure hope we don't get any visitors this evening. It's fairly obvious what we've been up to.
Yeah.
Like, why are you being coy with me? We just had sex.
Yes, right. Yeah, your mascara's smeared. Like, you've got handprints on your. We've got the clothes strewn about the house. Al Green is still playing.
Yeah, but it's not over.
Yes, no, keep going. It's the dead kids effect.
Yeah. So the loosely tied robe. Mm-hmm. Wearing nothing underneath. How on earth am I supposed to concentrate on Jeopardy with a naked woman sitting at the table? I mean, Connor on screen is pretty magnetic.
It is.
However.
Look at that guy nail that women of note category. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's high-fiving Trebek. I bet, you would high-five Trebek if he came here, right? I would watch you high-five Trebek.
Oh, look at that small talk as the credits roll.
Yeah, what do you think they're saying? Yeah.
To be a fly on the wall. Open that robe a little more, baby.
I bet if you read the transcript, you wouldn't know who was talking, and it'd be confusing, and that would get you hot, wouldn't it? But then he says, since Grave has traveled the world, he rarely misses a geography question. Then he told me about the meeting at the police station. Like, oh, right. that whole thing. That whole thing that you're devoting half of your attention to.
Oh, and then we get the things that delight me. I agree. Jimmy will talk to Ellen Baker, the school superintendent. Do we need another character?
Well, we get another one too. We get more Jim Dalens, because this is one I had to go back and look.
Oh yes, this is great.
Gabe says, "Hey, going off topic here for a minute. Do you know the young woman with long dark hair who's working as a dispatcher at the police department?" "Sure, that's Julie Sorensen. She worked at the pizza shop and she used to deliver here. She dated Tommy Smith in high school, but I think that's over and it's too bad because she's a nice girl. Judy keeps in touch with her. She went to community college for 2 years and has applied to the state police academy. She's working at the police department until June, and then she'll begin the academy." And so I went back, and it did say like he went and asked like a dark-haired woman at the thing, but that was the only mention. There was no actual interaction printed there. It just said it's something he did. So we've either got a suspect here, or we have gotten one of the greatest diversions in the history of literature.
I hope it's a diversion
because it keeps going.
Yes, go on.
What happened with her and Tommy? Well, from what Judy said, he's all involved in baseball at college, and that's all he cares about. I take it he's moved on to other conquests. And so I have the moment right here from what triggered this lengthy digression, filling us in on the backstory of Tommy Smith and Julie Sorensen. He briefly spoke to the young dispatcher at the front desk and was directed back the hall to the conference room. The young woman called him by name, but Gabe couldn't quite place her.
Wow. I will point out this, though. It's very coy of her to say, "Do you know the young woman with long dark hair who's working as a dispatcher at the police department?" Like, hey, I know the red-haired guy who might be the manager of a furniture store. I think I can probably work my way through this.
Right. And so is this is Gabe asking this because he's like he can't get her out of his head? Like he was thinking about the middle-aged spread was sucking itself back up, and Miranda's hair was dark during all this.
Who knows? I don't know. All right, that's chapter 14.
Yeah. Chapter 15, we get another diversion to talk about the evil guys, and this is Mr. Smith, the stockbroker who works at a downtown Manhattan stock firm. Is this the guy that was wearing the fake mustache and going into the tavern?
I'm getting confused on the baddies at this point. We have Baldy, the boss, Mr. Jones, and Mr. Smith, and Martin.
Well, the boss, I believe, gets a kick out of calling himself Mr. Jones.
Okay, so that one's cleared up. Okay.
I was curious whether that was a Men in Black reference. That was sort of how they marketed that movie. Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So, but yeah, Baldy, no idea. Baldy was doing okay, but Martin had messed up with that little tart.
Jenny, please don't call Jenny a little tart.
I know Martin had
She's
deep
a nerd.
affection for her, right?
Yeah.
But first mention of Baldy, I believe.
Okay.
So Mr. Smith, what does he do? He goes, he makes a run to the town. He steals a license plate from an old guy's car outside of like a Bass Pro shop.
Mm-hmm.
And then he calls someone, which warrants the advanced evil guy technique to conceal your identity of making your voice deeper. Mm-hmm. Classic. We've all done that. We one time, my friend. So,
like, who is the sheriff? Of
exactly.
The 64 Squares.
Well, that was a deep voice. We were never told whether that guy was affecting the deep voice.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's
true. But my friend Danny still makes fun of my friend Derek about. We went to in high school. Went to go try to see. It was back, when just seeing a rated R movie might be your only chance at seeing nudity for a long time. And so we were like 16. We went to go see The People versus Larry Flint.
Oh man,
which was like mainly focused on like a legal battle.
Yes,
but so I think we had, I don't know if we just like hoped they wouldn't ask us if we were 17, but someone went in and said one for People versus Larry Flint, and then my friend Derek walked up and just went, same thing.
Oh God!
To try to make his voice sound older, I guess. So that is when Larry Flint died a month or two ago. Same thing jokes were still made.
Oh yes. Hello, old friend. Yeah, that's his. Martin made his voice deeper.
Yeah, but the person on the other line says, "What do you want? Why are you calling me? I told you I never wanted to see you again." And then there's no other answer, but he whispers into the phone, "I know where she works and where she lives." So. Who are they talking about?
Well, they're talking about Jenny, right?
Okay,
where she lives. But who's he talking to?
Got it. Yep. So maybe Baldy. I
think it's someone we've already met.
Okay.
So I think this is the secret that we're going to find out. Someone in Cutler is telling them which freeway exit Cutler is.
So I mean,
access.
Right? Yeah, that is the speed at which you have to drive. So that when you toss your drugs out of the window, so that lands right at the cushion, right up against the IHOP sign.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm suspicious about Tommy's ex-girlfriend Julie Sorensen. I just think that's she's got the inside thing. She's working at the hospital, so she has that connection. Been jilted by her baseball obsessed boyfriend, so might have a bit of a grudge on her shoulder about some of these other nerds in town.
Oh, but do you think that Tommy jilted her?
Yes, by going off to college and moving on to other conquests.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, she's got motive.
Mm-hmm.
She hates the people of the town. She's got means. Yeah. All right. You got it. I think you got it.
All right. All right. So we can move on. Chapter 16 is another short one. Let's do that, and then we can do some fanfic.
All right. Sounds good. Chapter 16. I don't have many notes other than Stephen Croft.
Yes. This is what I alluded to earlier.
Stephen Croft. What in the hell is happening?
So this was the one where I had to go back. I searched for Steve. I searched for Stephen. I searched for Croft just to see if there was any reason I should be expected to know who this guy is over halfway through the book in chapter 16. There is not.
There's not. I know. I did the same thing, and I have my extensive character list here. It might not be 100% accurate because some characters don't get names, but there's no Stephen Croft.
No.
But this chapter should have been called then chapter 16 Stephen Croft, right?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Yes.
To introduce a character like that. But yeah, it's 100% from his point of view. The phone rang at exactly 11 a.m., so that's a 372 hallmark, the needlessly specific times. Stephen Croft was expecting the call and picked up right on time as usual. How are you, Max? So he's referencing usual behaviors by characters we've never met either.
But this is kind of the story of Max Ryan Jr.?
Yes. Previously alluded to in the cop meeting, or they alluded to Max Ryan Sr., thus implying the existence of a Max Ryan Jr.
Right. Okay. So, yeah. We get his full story later.
Yes.
But what we know about Max is that he's not a bad kid. He had some anger and attitude issues, getting into fights, vandalism, and petty theft. That sounds like he is a bad kid.
Right. Yeah. That's the, as far as Cutler's concerned, that might as well be Jeffrey Dahmer for what's going on in this town.
But you get this delightful thing of, so Max got into trouble. This is all narrated by a character we've never met, Stephen Croft. And then he just claimed he was trying to help Jeff Huntley, a character we've never met. Steve shrugged. So we've got Steve, Max, Jeff Huntley. It's just unbelievable.
Right.
It's so hard to keep track of. Superintendent Baker is mentioned.
But they give you some details about this, so it's easy to keep up, and the details are insane. Max is getting this assignment dangled in front of him so that he can then join the military, which in this town obviously makes sense because you can't be ex-military until you have been in the military. So he wants to join the rank of Cutler ex-military guys. But he's currently working at a Cleveland Jiffy Lube but hasn't told his mom where he is. You get the sense that he is on parole, and he is currently sending Stephen Croft a card every Friday with money inside. Stephen then puts it in an envelope with the typed address and no return address so that the only postmark she sees is Cutler, PA. And there is absolutely no explanation given for that madness.
But gives it to his mom.
He gives it to Max Jr.'s mom, yes.
Yes. And then, so then we get this. This is great. So already your head is spinning with who are these people. So keep in mind, we have Jimmy, the chief. We have Jim Marshall, who I believe has been mentioned.
Okay.
And then she'll have some samples, and as soon as we have the time and date, I'll run those down to James Kelly, and he'll print a couple hundred.
My God.
We'll get them up all over town, and I've got to call into Dan Myers from the Chronicle.
It is.
I mean, this is a tiny chapter, and my head is spinning.
Yeah, it's Richard Scarry's Busy Town, I suppose.
Yeah.
But like to bring her up yet again, it's Lisa's mom being like, that jerk Harold called, and we're like, do we know who he is? Is he someone we've met? Like, and she lays out his whole backstory of trying to like get her house in the divorce or something.
Well, I'm going to say right now, I'm going to call it. It's Dan Myers from the Chronicle who's causing the drug epidemic.
Oh wow, huh?
Yeah.
Like shipping the drugs with like newspapers tied up.
I think that's part of it, but also he's just he's posing as a reporter. He's got access to everything. Yeah.
Yeah, as a reporter, you've got to get in on and off the interstate. No one would think twice about that incredibly suspicious act of exiting onto the interstate. Like, come on.
Right. And he was rejected as he wanted to be a novelist, but he couldn't make it because Cutler, the small town, held him down.
Was he a real estate novelist or?
Never had time for a wife.
Oh,
no.
well, yeah. So his wife heard about the murder and also died.
Right.
I'm worried by Max Jr. sending his hard-earned lube job money through the mail, risky in the first place, and then this guy puts it in an envelope with no return address on it and sends it to his mom. Like, some of these payments must go missing.
Oh, well, do you think he's skimming?
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance.
Steve Croft?
Max Jr.'s like, hey, my mom never got that money. He's like, well, I mailed it. You're the one who wanted to do this insane scheme to keep your Cleveland residency a secret from her.
Well, it is a perfect crime because she's not in contact with him. He'll never know whether the money's getting to her. So, yeah.
Right.
He could put it in an envelope with no postmark on it and never send her a single time, apparently.
Right.
I mean, that's just oil and lube money. He's spending that oil and lube cash and no one cares, right?
Right. Hey, yeah. How much money do you think he's getting? He's sending her every week from that.
A portion of his oil and lube thing?
Right. He is renting a room somewhere, it says. He's got to buy groceries.
$38?
Right. Yeah, his mom treasures every dollar.
Yes.
All right. Well, lots of characters, lots of action, lots of drama, and let's see if we can, if our listeners are able to convey all that to you in terms of trying to fool you with their artfully crafted.
Fresh off 3 of 5 last week, I think.
Yeah. Hey, you take those victories when you get it. It's like batting average.
Yeah. Confidence level low, I have to admit.
Well, we've got some good ones. People have stepped up their game. I like that Logic is facing the eviction in that song. You might have Max Jr. facing eviction for sending too much money to his mom in unmarked envelopes.
That's true.
But yeah, so these are going to be 5 segments that are either coming from later in the book, The Quilters Push Back, or they might be fan fiction written by our devoted listeners, many of whom are our Patreon supporters. We did a fun Patreon event last week. We watched my Jeopardy loss.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
It was eye-opening to me because I was, I was like, I did it a little better than I thought. But also the guy who won did a lot worse than I remembered. He missed multiple like daily doubles and $2,000 questions, and that was the only really reason it was close.
I'd kind of forgotten how close you were.
Yep.
I think when you reported it, you're like, yeah, kind of, second round I was close, and then I got kind of blown away. But yeah, it was tense.
That's why you play the whole game.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, so the Patreon is at patreon.com/372pages. And, get in on that because it's we do crazy stuff like that every now and then. And you get every episode early. And we pay more attention when you send in your fanfic if you're one of those guys.
A lot more.
Yeah. Here is number 1. After lunch at the Kelly Room, meatloaf and mashed potatoes, yum, I received a call from my good friend Mary Milner. Miranda, my little Brian has been arrested by the police, she sobbed. I used to babysit Brian when he was a baby, so I was shocked to hear that he would ever do anything to get in trouble with the law. Dear Lord, what happened? Mary continued to sob. Grace O'Sullivan, the music teacher, caught him injecting himself with a needle of something in class. She thought it was heroin, so she called the police and they brought him in for questioning. Well, was it heroin? No, luckily it wasn't. I could hear Mary blowing her nose. Brian stole some of Gordon's insulin and injected himself in front of his pals. He says he was just trying to impress them. Oh, Miranda, what am I going to do? I'm worried he's going to be sent to a juvenile detention center. I can't let them take away my Brian.
Oh, I love it, but I think it's fanfic. It's very good.
I hope Gordon is okay. He's missing a vial. Here is number 2. I wiped the oatmeal cookie crumbs off my fingers and answered the phone before it went to the machine. Hello? Miranda, this is Max. I was hoping I could get a hold of Gabe, and he's not answering his phone. I glanced over at Gabe asleep in his recliner and smiled. Just a moment. I covered the receiver and nudged the recliner with my foot. Gabe, Max Ryan Sr. is on the phone for you. Gabe gave a startled jerk and looked sleepily over as I handed the phone to him. Hey, Max, working hard? The smile on Gabe's face disappeared as I heard Max's deep tone. Oh, no, Gabe whispered when Max was done. Oh, poor Queenie. Yes, I'll be right there. I was suddenly on my feet looking for my purse. What happened? Max went over to finally install that birdhouse for Queenie. He had to take down one of the older ones for repair, and inside he found a cache of drugs. I gasped. What? How? Gabe shook his head. Drug dealers have drop spots where they leave drugs or money for their network that they think no one else will find. I guess they didn't know Queenie's penchant for updating her birdhouses.
Well, a lot of that checks out. And she heard a deep voice on the other end of the line?
The deep voice of Max Ryan Sr. Deep tone.
Yeah, that could have been a drug dealer, though, disguising his voice.
No, it's a known tactic, yeah.
When did we just had a birdhouse, right, in the last book?
Yeah, I think that it must have been her, like, trying to update it or something. Maybe she mentioned that at the meeting when they asked what she did over the holidays, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's where the birdhouse was. Okay, that's why I think it's fanfic.
Oh.
I think it's referencing that birdhouse and trying to lure me in.
All right, number 3. There must be the whole town here and then some. Sad that Dad gets so much attention when the living need it more to steer away from evil. Are you cold? Gabe put his big arm around me, half bear hug style. This line is going to be forever. The ladies are going to help with the potluck. Maybe I'll go and help with the potluck too. People will be bringing those kids, and those Kool-Aid tycoons will be a handful once things start. You give Archie and Janet one of those hugs from me, okay? Gabe gave me a bigger squeeze. Honey, you must be half human, because you are at least half angel. I reached up to pinch his cheek and patted it to cover for it. What to say to that?
Oh, my goodness. Well, oh, boy. That was sparse enough on details that I'm going to say that one's real.
Okay. Number 4. He shook his head and smiled slightly at the man approaching his window. He knew he'd been lucky for a long time, but that time was up. The boss would never let him see a courtroom, and he couldn't do prison. He wasn't made for it. He closed his eyes and allowed himself one moment to envision that beach on Antigua that had seemed so close. Then he reached under the seat, pulled out his gun, and put it to the side of his head. No, Dom yelled. Smith, still smiling, looked in his direction before pulling the trigger.
Oh, man. Oh, it's tantalizing because I want that to be... I'll say it's real just because I want it to be real.
All right. Number 5. Miranda slipped into her quilted slippers and stepped out into the converted sun porch. She giggled to herself every time she put on her quilted slippers to go work on a quilt. But despite being well insulated, the sun porch floor was chilly sometimes, and she needed them. The porch had been added to the house by a previous owner and had initially been too drafty for them to trust the precious machines and fabric out there, but Gabe had replaced the windows and flooring, sealing up all the cracks and making it in a perfect sewing oasis. The sun streamed in, and Mandy wriggled her toes in her quilted slippers and ran her fingers over the stack of fabric she had pulled for her own wedding quilt. She and Gabe had debated whether it was gauche to make their own wedding quilt, but they couldn't resist the challenge of attempting a traditional double wedding ring design, and the quilt itself would be a symbol of both their deep affection and good working relationship.
That is cozy as hell.
Toes wiggling
in quilted slippers. I'm going to say fanfic.
Okay. All right. Well, I believe. Oh man, think you're gonna be pleased here.
All right.
Number one was meatloaf and mashed potatoes. The guy, Brian, injecting himself with his brother Gordon's insulin. You said fanfic. That was fanfic, written by Triss. I did like Gordon as a name, as a off-camera character.
It was very good. I think there was a Marion, too, the piano teacher. Whatever.
Mary Milner. Number two, that was Gabe getting a phone call from a deep-voiced Max Ryan Sr. in the birdhouse. You said fanfic. That was fanfic written by Cynthia.
Nice.
Number three, this was them going to a meeting or something. A line forever. People bringing their kids and those Kool-Aid tycoons. Very confusing. You were half human. You were at least half angel. You said real. That was fanfic written by Marie.
Ah, dang it.
Yeah. But that sweet talking Gabe is it's spot on.
Yeah.
Number four, this was the boss, the beach on Antigua, the gun at his head before pulling the trigger. You said real. That is real from later in the book.
Yes.
That is submitted by Tommy. We get a Dom coming in. That's exciting.
Yes. No, Dom's the drug guy. He's already in here.
Oh, crap.
Dominic.
Is he a good guy or?
Dominic D'Angelo. He's the drug task force guy.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
From upstate. And then the last one was the quilted slippers wiggling their toes, knitting their own wedding quilt. You said fanfic, and that was indeed fanfic submitted by Amanda. So 4 for 5 this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That'll raise them up there. All
right.
right.
The average goes up. Holy cow.
Well done, everybody. Those were cozy. They were dramatic. Not super sexy, but maybe, I guess we can't have any next time. Oh, well.
Oh, yeah. Dang. I want it to go on.
I know. All right. Well, let's get back to the narrative here, because there's a lot more. We're going to have a meeting, so we got to get to that excitement.
All right.
Chapter 17 begins with Jimmy racing to the hospital.
Jim Marshall, the insurance guy.
Jimmy, police chief Jimmy. Don't know the
James, the print guy.
I don't believe it is. I believe it's Big Jim. What my nephew calls my dad. No, it was let's see, Jimmy. It's pretty much his book at this point in time, because I didn't mention it, but the last chapter where Steve was talking about getting his cards of money from Max Jr. and forwarding him to his mom, that was conveyed by Steve telling that story to Jimmy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we've sort of, it's like the Psycho thing where it becomes, the second story a third of the way through the book.
Right.
But Jimmy is racing to the hospital because he's going to go check in on a girl who was brought there by her boyfriend. So it's statistically that's the third OD this week. So everything is right as they expect.
Right.
But for the cozy mystery, it does. We get some good further tragedy, and I want to issue your first Sonic challenge of the book.
Oh, great. Okay. I hope it involves Penny Lehman.
So Jimmy took the woman's hand gently. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the doctor. The doctor comes out. There's a distraught-looking couple. He took the woman's hand gently. I'm sorry. We did everything that we could. She was too weak. The woman collapsed to the floor, sobbing. No, no, no. Oh, God, please. No with 5 O's. The last sound she made was like the cry of a wounded animal.
Okay. All right.
I'm just going to text you that just so you can see exactly how it's written.
I've got it here. I pulled it up. Yeah. All right.
Were you going to give that one to me? I hope I preempted
collapse
it.
to the floor. If Bridget were here, I'd just obviously have her come in and do that.
Right, wow.
Talk
about something
professional.
Yeah, that if video existed
mourner.
would be just like, I would rather see that video than the day the clown cried or whatever at this point.
Okay, all right. So here, the quirk of it is no, 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 and then it's capital "Oh God" in the middle of a sentence. Okay, so O is capital. So I'm going to give that some emphasis. Oh, and then it's comma, and then the no is capitalized as well.
Yeah, but no exclamation mark. So
no exclamation point. Okay, so that's important. All right, those three things. I used to do in my script. You do beats of your acting, and you'd sort of like do it like it was a musical score. Like here's my emotion here. Okay, so now I've got the beats figured out. Here we go. I'm gonna have to back off the mic, of course.
Please, thank you. My ears.
Yes. All right, I'm pushing the mic far away from me. No, no, no. Oh God, please, no.
What with the wounded dog there? Like a guy just
I went with a dog.
Kicked a mangy cur off his porch or something.
The animal was unspecified. I think that was coyote that I was doing.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, those are nasty.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. And this it tracks with what Jimmy thinks, because Jimmy in his just kindly nature, the long hand of the law is here to comfort and to wipe out this thing. Jimmy thought he had never heard anything so pathetic in his life.
Jimmy.
Right. Which, triggers a reaction that, well, if he indicated that on his face, if he was just like sneering at the woman who just learned that her daughter died, it might warrant what happens next a bit more.
Yeah, this is obviously, I'm trying to think of the movie that inspired this moment. Mm-hmm. I guess there's a little bit of Jaws in it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Slapping Sheriff Brody like Mrs. Kittner. Knew. And Mrs. Kittner. I don't want to have that little Kittner boy spill out on the dock. Terrible line. So he, the father, punches Jimmy.
Yeah. With one
you rotten move. Bastard, this is your fault. How many kids will die, huh? How many? So he gets handcuffed, and then there's this. This is obviously the theatrical moment, the cinema moment. No. Jimmy stood and wiped the trickle of blood from the corner of his mouth. Let him alone. He's entitled.
Yeah.
He turned and walked outside into the pouring rain and looked straight up, hoping everyone would assume it was rain running down his face. And it was, partly.
Yeah, so that's your serious drama. Is it blood they're referring to? Tears?
I think it was tears. Yeah, he's crying for the lost, and I'm trying to picture, because up to this point, Chief Jimmy, I assumed was someone promoted over his head or something. Mm-hmm. Not a very super dignified name. I'm sorry to all the Jimmys out there.
Right. Well, in some professional context, you got to suck it up and go with the James or something.
Yeah. So anyway, I wasn't picturing Jimmy as, now it's like it's Clint Eastwood. Jimmy
right.
Is Clint Eastwood. So.
Yeah. So the police chief gets punched directly in the face, and he says, "No, let him go. He's able to." Which might, that just might. You got to use foresight with this, because if word gets out that that's open season on punching the police chief in the face just because your kid dies, you might have people lining up to do that.
Right.
I mean, there has been 80 ODs over the past 6 months, so.
Yeah, he's just like rubbing his chin going, oh boy, another one? This is becoming a habit. But here's another, it's the inception moment, or the writing style that I can't get used to. So there's that theatrical moment. He looks up and hopes that nobody sees him crying and bleeding, whatever. And then the next paragraph, it's not even separated at all. Gabe's phone rang. So, where are we? What?
Yeah,
what's happening?
They passed it off to the next person in their writing a book like we did exercise.
I guess so. So then we just immediately, again, it's called erroneously called a smash cut. Mm-hmm. Every cut is a smash cut.
Yes,
it cuts to something else.
Right.
But this one just to a different location. We're just in the middle of this scenario, and then boom, Gabe's phone rang.
Right.
Okay, did it ring in Jimmy's pocket? Does he have Gabe's phone?
Yeah, the water damage sort of from the rain/tears triggered a erroneous dial or something.
I guess so. Anyway, that's just a weird thing to get used to. We're in a different place now. All right, there we are.
And I liked it when it says that. It says Gabe's phone rang. It was unusually late in the evening. everyone in town knows we retire early. And I just have to assume that's something that's said with just extreme air quotes by everyone in town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are the same people who didn't tell the dead sheriff he was fat. So.
Right. True. Yeah. Yeah. There's just the Hathaways have their windows open all the time. They're just going at it like wounded animals. But everyone in town just sort of, it's like that little boy on the Twilight Zone. You just don't say anything and think happy thoughts, so they don't do something to you.
Right.
But so Gabe goes to the hospital. He gets the scoop from Jimmy because now he's part of this task force. And when he comes back, Miranda says he showed up a little after 2. He quietly stripped down and crawled into bed. I slid over and wrapped my arm around his waist. I could sense that now wasn't the time to talk. He was clearly emotionally exhausted. Do 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 do. Waka chicka do 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 do. We all know what happens when Gabe is emotionally exhausted.
Yes. But then we get the delightful line. We know that nothing's happening because he says, "Tomorrow," period, and then no caps was all he said before he closed his eyes. So it's just tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting some good noir moments here. Just
everybody's becoming Clint Eastwood or Bogey,
No one is yet 3 days from retirement, though. I'll give them that.
That's true, yeah. But the problems of 2 people who like to watch Jeopardy and do it don't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world.
They just must be lucky that none of their kids are here to fall victim to the drug menace. But
Yes.
but this was very curious to me. Gabe says, "Here's the thing, Miranda. These pills are real. It's not like there's a killing fog here that comes and goes." And so I just immediately I would give anything to read book 8 in the series, The Cutler Quilting Guild versus the Mysterious Killing Fog.
She goes full John Carpenter in one of her books.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
Great.
Yeah, it just turns you inside out. It dissolves your skin. Like it's released when it's released when someone goes bankrupt on Wheel of Fortune. So they're watching that, and someone spins that, and they're like, no, seal up the windows.
Yeah, but the pills she's talking about that are not a killing fog, just to be clear. A lot of you out there are thinking, was it a killing fog?
Right.
That killed Penny Lehman? No. They were pills. But anyway, it was the fact that we get the full name. Penny Lehman. We both knew her parents from before she was born. I'd been at their wedding. Diane knew the girl from high school. So, again, you pull in a character, give her a name, and kill her.
Maybe her parents' wedding was not small and intimate, and that's the price she had to pay.
Exactly. The sins of the fathers.
Yes, I will give you an elaborate wedding, but I will call in my price 20 years from now on your daughter.
The monkey paw.
Right. Hey, it's worth it for this 9-piece Motown band. Everyone's going to be getting funky.
So that chapter ends with each of these losses was tearing a small piece of the heart out of our small town.
My God.
You gotta tear up that freeway, man. They were personal. We were hurting. ... We were angry.
Yeah.
All right.
Get the sock full of quarters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boards with nails in it. It's going to be exciting. Knitting needles. I mean, those could be purposed, I guess, as a...
Exactly.
Chapter 18 is a lot about poster design and distribution. We get a lot of...
I like to call it the Braxton Jonathan Bartlett chapter.
The world's biggest baby.
Yes.
Yeah. He's he was his mom Brittany was her mom.
The Spitfire. Yeah.
Yep. The slim drink of water. She couldn't have weighed more than 100 pounds herself, but this 8-pound 8-ounce baby's 28 inches long, and no one can believe this, but she's doing just fine, I guess.
So Brittany doesn't weigh much more than 100 pounds.
Yeah.
At full pregnancy at 9 months.
Yeah, it sounds unhealthy.
All right. Okay. I mean, she's wee, I guess. But
yeah. It would have been.
But anyway,
I hope that
at
some
character.
point the former police chief and her were taking pictures together, like, like in those Guinness Book of World Records, where it's like this couple is the most difference between their weight.
Yeah. So we get that joyous announcement, and then it's just poster distribution.
Mm-hmm. Brittany's going to put up
5 granular.
Posters. Yes. Yeah. Brittany takes 5 posters to put up at daycare and playground. Diane takes 10 posters and is going to put them at the high school, the YMCA, and a few other places she knew local kids hung out. Diane has also indicated that she will call if she needs more posters.
Yeah. 200 posters at the police station, remaining 100. William volunteered to go pick up posters.
The poster printer is not charging a fee. He wants this to be his contribution.
A little shout out to you, by the way. I called the chief and got his permission for Lucy to put up a notice on the group page. Yes. Jimmy was excited. So Jimmy, who's still nursing that, swollen jaw, maybe black eye, who knows. And he mentioned he hadn't thought of that, but it was a great idea to sound the alarm about drugs on a local Facebook page, whatever.
Yeah, Cutler chats.
Lucy and I each got a high five from Janie.
There we go.
Connor? High five. Is it one word as it is in here?
Oh, man. I don't think I've ever used the hyphen here, but, I admire the spirit of it.
Yeah. So it's just one word all jammed together. High five.
Yeah. Maybe it was inspired by my Trebek high five.
Yeah.
I like that they had to get the police chief's permission to post something on their local next door page. He's like, my God, like this is what's going to do me in, like what did Jake in. If people keep calling me to ask to post this, you can post it. Yes. Some guy posted that he thought he saw a suspicious looking squirrel on there. Like, post away.
Yes. Here's the thing I'm really glad they made clear, by the way. Janie, working at the front desk while William shelved in the stacks, said, I've seen that. People put all kind of things on it. It's not an online yard sale. There's another site for that. Okay.
Again,
Thank you.
2018, you're still like using the term online yard sale, but just explaining that sites like this exist to people.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
But yeah, so they're hanging up posters around college campus, and she's concerned because the community college felt to me like the center of the problem. It was far enough out of town that our small police force couldn't keep the dealers from dropping in off the interstate and escaping the same way. So again, no real sense of what's going on here. If it is a town of 3,000, I don't know what to expect the community college would be sized at, but it has to be, maybe roughly the same size as a small town high school.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But she said earlier that most people... Here it is. Our local newspaper is published once a week. That's how most people get their news and find out what's happening in town. So I'm going to assume, I'm going to be charitable, and she means the news that's happening in their town, not... They don't wait for the local newspaper once a week,
right? Yeah,
to find out whether there was a terrorist attack.
Yeah, Gabe, did you see this? The president was assassinated last Thursday. That's I think that someone would have called us in a deep voice about that. That's very peculiar. No one posted about it on Cutler chats.
I guess that's why they're puzzled by the fact that their online yard sale things are not the same as Cutler chats. And stuff, it is still reading a newspaper once a week.
Yeah, once you sort of lapse into the cozy verse and embrace that as your aesthetic, the existence of the internet, does a lot to detract from coziness. Like
it's like cell phones ruining movies.
Right.
Yes. You have to. Everyone has to go. We're not getting a signal. Okay.
Right, but later on you have these elderly women parked outside seedy bars, and it's like, no, we've got a Wi-Fi camera. We can. No one needs to risk their own hide to track these guys down.
So our heroine gets. Sorry, I didn't mean heroin, the drug.
Right.
The heroine gets back to book sniffing, and. She name drops Laura Childs and Cleo Coyle.
Yeah.
I did something unusual. I looked them up.
Oh, wow.
Have you? Did you look them up?
I didn't, and I did not even surmise whether they were real or not. Are they real?
Oh, they are very real. They are part. They are in the Cozyverse.
Okay. Oh, are they notable authors, or are they just like people that she's like name dropping as a a web ring type of thing?
Name drop in a web ring.
Wow.
But however, there are 23 books in the Laura Childs catalog.
Wow.
There are 18 in the first Cleo Coyle series, but then she has another series that she's launched after that, the Haunted Bookshop series. There are 8 of those.
Wow. So they pretty much started writing in January.
Yes.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me you vamp, and I'll look up the Laura Childs because I think they're pretty good. The
titles?
Subject. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wonder if this is like we talked about with my sister's Instagram account, Lil Rude the Multipoo. Once again, if you are a notable, dog Instagram account, the way that you sort of try to get more followers is you comment on other dogs' accounts, being like, "Love this pic," or you tag it. So I wonder if there's just the that sort of sucking up to other authors by putting their names in your book.
It must be. Okay, I got the page up now. So the Tea Shop Mystery.
Nice.
22 in those. And here's a couple of the titles. Haunted Hibiscus, Lavender Blue Murder, Twisted Tea Christmas.
Twisted Tea, like the boozy drink?
I guess so.
Wow.
Here's one that... Oh, she has another series. I didn't even notice this. A Cackleberry Club Mystery Book 9 is called Egg Shooters.
Okay.
Broken Bone China, Mumbo Gumbo Murder. That's a scrapbooking mystery.
Scrapbooking cozies. All
Holy
right.
Crap. All right, so Laura Childs is just a syndicate of people writing books. A Silver Needle Murder. That's a tea shop. The other one is a coffee shop.
Oh my!
And then a haunted bookstore.
Mother of God. They're all richer than we could imagine.
I mean, literally, the sun does not set on Laura Child's kingdom. I'm going down the page, and it's just endless.
But they're not really puns. It seems like they're not going that tactic.
Oh, I'm sorry, you did not see Guilt Trip, Gilt.
Oh,
a scrapbooking mystery book.
God, not a fan of that.
Oh, you did not see Steeped in Evil,
God,
a tea shop mysteries book 15.
Oh, have you no
Glitter
decency,
Bomb.
ladies? Glitter Bomb?
Glitter Bomb, a scrapbooking mystery.
There's bombings taking place in these?
All right, I'll give you the title, and you tell me whether it's a tea shop mystery or a scrapbooking mystery.
I'm not up on my scrapbooking terms.
Or a Cackleberry Club mystery.
I don't know what cackleberries are.
It has something to do with eggs. What do you got?
So they're backyard chickens is its own genre now?
All right, Devonshire Scream.
Tea.
That's a tea shop, yeah.
Sure. Sounds British.
Agony of the Leaves.
Tea.
Okay.
Is that agony of defeat? That's tortured.
Eggs on Ice.
I guess you spoiled that one. Cackleberry?
Sorry, that's Cackleberry. All right, finally, Pico Most Poison.
Is that a scrapbooking term?
I fooled you. Pico is a T. Gotcha. All right, there we go. That's Laura, whatever.
All right. Well, I hope that those authors reciprocate this. You can't just be, giving those shout-outs and not letting this author appear in your book.
I'm sure that was the intention, and I hope that we'll have to see whether that's true. Yeah. So if any listener out there could read all of the Laura Childs and Cleo Coyle mysteries, both the coffee house mysteries and the tea shop and the haunted bookshop series.
Yes, please just take one for the team. Report back whether these any of the 3 authors of this appear in them.
Appreciate it. Thanks. We'll send you a T-shirt. All right.
Only other thing that happens here is that Gabe takes Miranda to lunch at Billy's, which is a local institution that only serves pork and beef barbecue on a Kaiser roll. No frills.
Indeed. Yeah, go to hell, pork and sauerkraut.
And it's very confusing because we just did have pork and sauerkraut on New Year's Day, but she says, I know barbecue in January, but honestly, it's that good. So there's just a strict regimen of appropriate foods for appropriate time of years observed in Cutler. And, I think she's just sort of, it's between her and Gabe that they're doing this in January.
This would be a thing. I should have gone to the dark web to see if someone had done a recreation of it, but she makes clear that they do not speak until they had eaten every morsel and wiped their face. So that would be a great
right. Yes. Yeah.
It's like 7 minutes of both Gabe and Miranda going.
She starts to speak. He holds up a finger as he just shoves the rest of the sandwich in. And then when they do speak, it's Penny Lehman and her throat tightens because, oh, right, the dead kids.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, town of 3,000, obviously, like a smaller town than I've ever lived in, but like the death of one kid would probably be something that would keep people up at night, let alone something, an ongoing pandemic. But they're just wolfing things down, banging after Jeopardy, like just, selectively caring about this. It's quite a life they're living.
Priorities, man. You got to eat your, I know, barbecue in January. It's bizarre. But, yeah.
But then it turns out that Penny, they believe, got drugs from someone at the high school. And it took a moment for what he had just said to sink in. And when I did, it realized things were much worse than we knew. Much, much worse.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, I guess it didn't occur to her that high schoolers also might want the drugs that the community college kids are. I mean, that's the best arrangement a high schooler has. You know, a 19-year-old who just started going to community college, and they can get you beer and drugs. Like, yeah, it's a clear funnel. So I'm not sure why that hadn't occurred to her yet.
Oh, but now we get to the meat of it.
Oh, yeah.
This is a pretty good chapter. So what we're asked to believe here is that posters were put up, which was made clear in the previous chapters, distributed around. And imagine yourself in 2018 in a town of 3,000, just off the interstate, seeing a poster that says, drug rally at the high school. We hope you'll attend because Dominic D'Angelo, a member of the governor's task force, will be there. Sandy Tressler and the mayor and Jimmy Hayes will be there as well as Dr. Chris Walker, chief of staff at the Community General Hospital, will be speaking. There's no booze being served, or there's not a meal or anything. It's just go to the auditorium and listen to this. Your response?
The only possible way is if I had misread it and thought it was a rally where the drugs were being provided.
Yes.
You know, like, oh, sweet, like a smoke out or something. Like, I'm in. Weird place to have it at the school, but then you walk in with your bong and are like, and you slowly back out the door.
Well, Cutler's a different kind of town because Saturday night the school auditorium was packed. And I'm not too humble to say it was due at least partly to my trusty guild team. The town was plastered with posters.
It's I suppose it's like any small town in a movie or something. You can just you just imply that they're all there and have nothing else to do, and that means people will turn out. I mean, that happens on The Simpsons all the time when you need a meeting or something. So. Like everyone shows up. Man,
but think about it in real life. If there are 12 people there, I'd be shocked.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, you've seen videos every now and then a particular small town council meeting gets distributed online, and you see the type of how stultifyingly dull these meetings are and the type of weirdo who has the time on their hands to want to attend them.
Oh, it's amazing.
But posters, I mean, who knows? These must be some really clever posters. I don't think they said what was on them. Maybe they did the... just had a picture of, some models or something, and then just had like, this very small text, like, now that we've got your attention, come to our meeting. Models will not be in attendance, type of thing.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. We'd have to ask James Kelly, the printer, who is not Jim, nor is he Jimmy, the chief. Yes. Okay.
So Dr. Walker has a PowerPoint presentation. He has 2 years worth of data that translated into wrecked human lives, Cutler lives. We were left with no doubt that drug dealing and drug use were spiking. There have been 3 ODs a week for 6 months. Like, I guess that's news to some people here, but it was like, I guess, yeah. I guess, Mrs. Kittner has been wearing black for a while now. Yeah, the high school football team is, they had 2 guys on the field last weekend. That makes a lot more sense now.
And we get exactly as you'd expect, we get the kind of the dragnet drug thing, you young kids, you teeny boppers, you think you can come in here and just, do this MDMA, street name X, ecstasy, Molly. And this is the Hayes is doing it. The main issue is that ecstasy can be made to look like anything, vitamins, candies, whatever. It can be any color and have a cartoon character on it. It can be used as a date rape drug. On and on.
Yeah. They're just informing people about the existence of this drug. Like these people are having their eye open to that at this point in time.
Yes. And then, but Chris, he gets tough here. He pointed a finger at the audience. You are the key. Talk to your kids. I don't mean when they are playing video games. Find a quiet time. Look them in the eye and tell them that this is not a game. And this is critical. And then he ends with this, this is fantastic. There's a saying on the street. Snitches get stitches and wind up in ditches.
Yes.
We will keep anything you tell us confidentially. And then there's been a lot of voice lowering in this.
Oh, yeah.
He lowered his voice and leaned into the mic. Do you want your child to be next?
Man. He's essentially giving the old pinched face guy in Reefer Madness.
Yes, he's just railing into the mic, and the response, we get it from the crowd. Do you have it there? I've got it.
Someone started shouting, "Push out the pushers." Everyone joined in the chant.
Yep. No more. Push out the pushers. No way. Absolutely not. So this is going over gangbusters.
Yeah, it's not a very catchy chant, but somehow it catches on. Like you've ever tried to start the wave at a game, or get a na going. When it doesn't catch on, the worst feeling in the world. You just look like a big idiot. And so the guy I'm sure that did push out the pushers did not expect it to get that kind of traction.
No, it's going great. The crowd is responding well. It was so odd though that I did have to. I went to the dark web.
Oh, wow. Earlier you said you wish you had gone to it, so I assumed that meant you had not gone to the dark web at all.
Oh, I wish I had gone to it twice.
Okay.
That's what I meant by
all right. Well, phew. I wasn't expecting something, though. That's a relief. Good.
And it turns out that this is an edited, the sisters and, is it sister-in-law?
Perhaps.
Yeah, they had an original draft that expounded upon this moment.
This had a first draft. This is not. Wow, that's stunning.
Yeah, this is
professionally
the editing process.
Oh, because she did say my trusty
book.
guild in this same chapter. So I guess
yes.
the editor was sleeping on that one.
Right.
Cool. All right.
And so that book is out there, and then the audio book for the original draft is also out there.
Wow.
And
so they produced it and then,
actually.
Yeah, they didn't. They went back and were like, scrap it. I know you read the whole thing, but we got some edits the sisters want to make.
Right. Yeah. But if you're willing to get a VPN and go on the dark web and go through the turtle browser or whatever the heck it is, you can find it.
Cool.
And I did, and so I pulled up. The meeting is actually a little more expanded upon. I'll let the listener decide whether or not the final edit was the good one or not. But
right.
But here it is. This is the audiobook recreation of the original draft of this meeting.
Excited to hear it. So again, starting tonight, we stop this epidemic of drug sales and use in our town. Push out the pushers. Push out the pushers. Push out the pushers.
Queen Elizabeth is a lizard person.
Whoa. Hey, all right. Stop that. Cutler has a drug problem. This is no time to air your insane conspiracy theories. Please, let's stick to push out the pushers. Push out the pushers. Push out the pushers.
Stephen King shot John Lennon.
Okay, all right. That's enough. Who said that?
What the heck is that? I don't know what's going on. No idea. I don't know who it's no idea.
All right, I'm not joking around here. Who said that? We're a small town. We can figure it out. Mandy, was it you?
Certainly not.
Gabe?
What? No.
Kevin?
Nuh-uh.
Terry?
Not me.
Zoe?
Nope.
Well, what about you? Barbara Franklin?
Me? No.
James, Barbara's husband.
Come on, man.
Michael?
I'm Zoe's fiance.
Yeah?
Well, no, it's not me.
Edgar, Mr. Pendleton.
No.
Rita.
How dare you?
Sorry, Rita. Jill?
Come on.
I know. Susan.
Well, I never.
Richard.
No way, compadre.
Diane?
Call me D.
Just answer the question.
No, it wasn't me.
Sylvia?
No, honey.
Ellie?
Hardly.
Charlie?
Too busy co-running a diner.
Devin? Lindsay? Ethan or Gwen?
Nope. No.
Mark?
No, sir.
Pastor Abbott?
As God is my witness, no.
Lucy? Adam? Jeff? William? Janie?
No.
Jenny? Oh, that's right. Wouldn't be her. Tom Gibbons?
please.
What about you, McMillans? Peter?
Nope.
Irene McMillan?
Not me.
Daughter Macy?
No, sir.
Polite child. James?
Too busy working at the print shop.
Of course you were. Queenie?
How dare you, sir?
Brittany?
Me?
Well, your newborn, Braxton? Right, of course not. It wasn't him. No, sorry. Big baby. Daniel? Emily?
Never.
Jack?
As if.
More sisters. Harriet?
No.
Sarah?
As my twin sister said, no.
Shelby?
I swear on the donut store, no.
Judy Smithin?
Oh, heavens, no.
Tommy? Jesse? Julie?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Taylor? Noel?
No.
And who are you, by the way? It doesn't matter. Max Ryan Sr.?
Nope.
Junior?
No.
Okay. Lizzie?
No, darling, but you're hot.
All right, come on. Betty Heidel?
Come on, Jimmy.
I know. Gloria?
No, dear.
Sammy?
Nuh-uh.
Archie?
At this time.
Oh, right. Sorry, Archie. Janet? Oh, never mind. Same answer. Dr. Walker?
How dare you, sir?
Emma?
Nuh-uh.
John Morton, the youngest Morton boy?
Not this Morton.
Taylor Perryman, the widow of our beloved deceased chief?
Oh, Jimmy.
Oh. Sorry, widow. Was it your brother, maybe?
Oh!
Right, also dead. Sorry. How about your adopted baby? Sorry. Ron Mitchell.
Chief, please.
Joey Traxler.
Same answer.
Right. John Gustafson.
Gus.
Right. Gus.
No, it's not me.
Okay. Of course. Jim Marshall, insurance agent.
No, but if you need some terms.
Shut up, Jim. Ellen Baker.
Never.
Steve Croft.
Hardly.
Judge McAllister.
You're out of order.
Jeff Huntley.
No, sir.
Dan Myers.
Not me.
Penny Lehman. Oh, it wouldn't be her. Sorry, that's dead and all. Whew. Sandy Tressler.
I'm the mayor.
Of course. Sorry, you're Meredith. Chris Walker.
No.
Andy Peretta.
Nope.
Maria Peretta.
No, sir.
The Peretta boy. Sorry, don't know your name.
That's okay. No one does, sir, but no, it's not me.
Dominic D'Angelo.
I'm the head of the drug task force.
Okay. Then who was yelling that insane stuff?
It's me, some random idiot. I drove here on the interstate.
Oh, damn you, interstate.
Damn you, interstate. Damn you, interstate. Damn you, interstate.
Wow, that is...
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's best not to have the Snyder cut, You want to see what a good editor has the power to do.
I don't know. I might beg to differ. I needed to know.
You think that really was moving it along? It is a good way to sort of the meet the cast again type of thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they used to do that a lot in movies. A good cast deserves another look, and then they just introduce the characters again.
Well, I mean, even some "and the rest" might have been warranted there. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I like the specificity. Everyone gets a call out. I don't know.
Hey, they're putting it out there. They're putting the characters out there. You're only taking what we're given.
Right. So that's I think I don't have anything else in the chapter. It just kind of, the rally goes smashingly. Like, people love it.
Yeah, the crowd sort of disperses, and they're like, good job, Chief. Thanks, Steve. Do you think we made our point that we have an epidemic in our small town? And I was like, well, the mob is currently burning down a drugstore. They're so confused. So I think, yeah, you made the point. You've incited them, and they're going to beat the first car with out-of-state plates that pulls off the interstate for gas.
Right. Yeah. It was like I was in a small town bar once. I won't defame the town. And one guy started getting a little lippy, and then the whole bar was like, "Where are you from, boy?" And
to you?
Guys, no, it wasn't me.
Okay.
It wasn't me. It was another person. And then he said he was from a different town, and like a bunch of people got up, and like a guy took out a beer bottle, and they chased him out of the bar because he was from a different place.
You cross that town line right now. Wow.
You get back on that interstate and you head up. Head up north.
Yeah. You run them out of town. It comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
I did, just to be clear, I did my due diligence like you did with those two cozy authors. One of the chiefs or the task force guy provides them with the number 1-800-NO-DRUGS. which I dialed, and I made it through to the person. It is a medical alert center that did not seem to be concerned with small-town drug epidemics, and I politely said, I'm sorry, wrong number, and hung up when I got through to an actual operator.
Oh, you should have recorded
I
that.
probably should have, damn it.
Chapter 20 starts with one of my favorite cliches that people don't realize when they're saying it. It begins with this: "Let's face it, I've been in charge at the library for a long time now, and I do know how to delegate."
Andy Rooney.
I admit it. I haven't wanted to face this for a long time. It's been one of my greatest fears.
Yeah, right.
But I'm ready now. Let's do this. Let's face the fact that you've been in charge at the library for a long time now and know how to delegate.
Let's face the fact that I have a minor skill that many would consider a modest advantage in the job that I'm doing.
Look, people, it's time we talk about this. Like all the dead people in our hospitals, it's time we face this.
Let's face it, I'm never going to write that book. No, wait, I wrote 28 last week alone, and they're all available on Amazon. But yeah, so are we going to get some updates on the task force here? Maybe a deep, throaty phone call from Mr. Smith or Baldy, another grieving parent punching a high-ranking law enforcement official. We were up to 120 confirmations. Gabe had a phone call from Peter McMillan, who, while disappointed we weren't letting him pay for a Boston wedding, assured us that he, Irene, and Macy were thrilled to be coming. Andy Peretta and his wife were also coming, and that was special. And we then lapse into another just truly stunning story from the town of Cutler. There's just a million stories in this city.
I love the Andy Peretta story so much.
They met Andy when he was a homeless vet living on the streets of Cutler. That's the only sentence I have from it.
He liked to read in the library, and eventually I got him to trust me just a little. All right, so there's a homeless vet with PTSD is just hanging around in the library.
Yeah.
So she got him to trust her. Okay.
Yeah, he explained to her how the Dewey Decimal System worked, and so they built up a relationship of trust based on that.
Several of us worked together to keep him safe and make sure he had everything he needed while he worked through his PSD. What does that involve? He's homeless. Where was he staying?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. And then PTSD is, of course, a legitimate and thing that can be just devastating to a person. I'm not sure that the library pages are the best suited people to deal with it. Of course, they can be kind, but it's a severe psychological trauma that maybe the guy who is, restocking Sue Grafton Mysteries is not best suited to help with.
Right. But this is how hand waving works. We worked to get him back home to his wife, who was desperately waiting to help him put the pieces of his life back together.
Well, come on now. That is a loose definition of homeless.
It wasn't easy, and it took some time, but he's doing well. And now he works with returning vets to make sure that they have the benefits that are entitled to have.
That's very Dwight David Thrashian in terms of it's so nice when major things can be easily fixed, and now he's helping other people too.
Yes, I guess they omitted the times that he, would scream himself awake and attack them, and I don't know the symptoms of PTSD, but it's obviously very serious. And but no, everything turned out well, is what I'm saying. The
multiple times that they had to knock on the bathroom and he would pretend he wasn't in there, and they were like, "We're locking up." You left your gunny sack full of old cans outside the door, so I know you're in there, Andy.
Anyway, so Andy Peretta, I guess he's going to make the wedding? Is that the whole point of that story?
Yep, he's coming, and that was special.
Okay.
So, hopefully there's not, if they stomp on a glass or something at the wedding, that doesn't trigger a explosion flashbacks or something.
Yeah. And the villain returns, not Baldy, not the boss, not Mr. Smith, not Mr. Jones, the interstate. It's just too easy now for dealers to get to those college kids. It's out of town and quick access to the interstate.
That's her daughter Zoe, who they're discussing the problem with, and so
that's right. She's
Zoe
an expert.
Immediately surmises that.
Yes. So they all hate the interstate.
Yeah, you'd think Zoe lives in, Boston? She'd think she'd be excited to be able to visit her parents so much easier. Like, it sucks to drive on 45-mile-an-hour country roads to get to some of these remote locations. But Zoe is villainized to her as well.
Nope, she wants 2 lanes and single rut roads. She doesn't want these horrible freeways.
But yeah, so once she talks to Zoe, she goes to the Quilting Guild, which again is in theory what this book series is all about. The only quilting that's taken place has been in our fan fiction. But then Chief Jimmy comes and addresses the guild, and essentially, I'm sure that in a real life situation, you'd be like, I know we're all upset, but you have to let us handle this. There's just too much potential for people to get hurt or killed. He pretty much tells them to just start staking places out across town.
Yes.
He encourages them to sit in their cars and is very emphatic about writing down the things they see in a notebook.
He's still, bleeding slightly from his, being punched just a few hours by yet another victim.
Yes, he's on a no solid food diet, just eating shakes and through a straw. If this could happen to me, it's not gonna. No one's gonna punch a woman over 50. That's only something I have to. It's my cross to bear as the police chief. People are just gonna want to punch me.
Queenie has a weird theory. Queenie spoke up. It has been our experience that most people don't even see women over 50, and if they do, they hesitate to hurt them. Her chin rose defiantly. Queenie, that's a weird theory. I don't know. What? It's been our experience that most people don't even see, and if they do, they hesitate to hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that the thugs that this town is dealing with would be more inclined to snatch a purse from an old lady than they would from a former military or FBI agent, but that's just me.
Well, I guess, so if you are over 50 and you're in the bank and then the armed men in, ex-presidents' masks come in and start swearing and telling you all to get on the floor or I'll blow your effing head off. Mm-hmm. If you're over 50, don't sweat it. Yeah. Don't get down on the ground or anything. Yeah, just raise your chin defiantly and go get your
you could start doing like the money. Cabbage Patch, the Running Man, just like cracking everybody else up, and the guys will be like, why is everyone laughing? What's so funny? Come on. And then they'll freak out and leave. That's just the power of a woman over 50. Right. But it's going to be unfortunate for these guys because if they don't see women over 50, they're not going to notice Harriet. And Harriet and Sarah exchanged a look that I knew very well meant Harriet was still packing, so to speak.
Wow.
So, Harriet's just walking around with her concealed gun to the Quilt Guild meetings.
Nice.
And then there's some scheduling. We had some poster logistics. Now we get scheduling logistics. They figure out a surveillance shift.
This is fantastic.
Brittany handles this, I guess, since she's got nothing else on. She's got a brand new baby and 2 other kids. We figured out a surveillance shift near campus from 7 to 9 and another from 9 to 11 at the 2 bars near the interstate. Gabe and I had the 9 to 11 shift the next night at Bruno's, a rough-looking bar out near the interstate.
The interstate?
Yeah. It attracts things other than rough-looking bars? They figured everything is going to be like the Double Deuce out by the interstate. I mean, that with the type of people that drive on those things. Wow, but then she says that at least the 9 to 11 shift at Bruno's wouldn't interfere with our Jeopardy watching.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeopardy watching, quotes, right. Heavy air quotes.
Yeah, I don't know. Gabe might put in a new CD that could be a slow jam version of the Merv Griffin theme. That might that's how they're going to be distracted when the evil-looking cars pull into to Bruno's.
So she's got her hands full with Braxton, of course.
Of course. Oh, Braxton Jonathan something Jr.?
Yeah. Giant baby. Huge baby. Braxton the giant baby, all kinds of needs. But this was that schedule that you just read. That was because our narrator said, I got an idea. I suggested she could be our coordinator from the safety of her home. So is she like working the phones while nursing? Like, what is she doing?
I don't know. She's sitting on a big ice pack. Like, just she has trouble walking from that giant baby. But like, I don't know. She's willing to do minute scheduling tasks for everybody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, is she called? Like, once you make the schedule, you're set, right? You just go to Bruno's for 2 hours. What are you talking about?
You're calling to check up on him, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you're hopefully being like, let's see how this first shift goes. If no one gets killed by a rowdy drunk leaving Bruno's, then we'll schedule the next night. But until then, let's just take this one day at a time, Brittany.
Brittany, how is everything going? Like, I haven't slept in 3 days. Why are you calling me? Just go sit outside a bar.
But yeah, so there, I mean, as we said before, Cutler chat is essentially their next door, and anyone who's been online has seen how well local neighborhood apps do when there's suspicious people being sighted in town, which are usually package delivery guys and stuff. So that's essentially what these people are taking into their own hands. So I'm thrilled to see what raises their eyebrows, so to speak.
Right. All right, so that's all I have for 20.
And yeah, chapter 21 is our final chapter for this session. Next time we're going to finish the book, obviously, but we get back to a Steve chapter, the rare Steve chapter that is not Steve telling his story to Jimmy. But
Steve Croft, no relation to Sid and or Marty Croft.
Oh, well, in your headcanon. He's their son. They were a married couple, right? They adopted him as a son when he was left on their library doorsteps.
Exactly. He was discovered by the cat.
Yeah, that's a detail we didn't mention. The cat has sort of gotten backdoor. All of a sudden, he's not mentioned at all, except that he found a baby, which is a story in itself. But
yes.
But yeah, so Steve is talking to Max Jr., Cleveland car oil change guy who wants to join the military, so he's willing to make undercover drug busts so that he'll be allowed to enlist in the army with a clean record. Tale as old as time.
Yeah, a cliche, but, done well. That's fine.
And so what Steve tells him is that just like Brittany's very intricate scheduling thing, Steve is not allowing anything to happen by happenstance here. He is saying there's a bar called Bruno's a few miles from the college. You need to start hanging out there. So Max is probably like, sounds good. I know how to go into a bar and observe things. Steve keeps going. Just go in and order a beer. Then wait a couple of days and show up again. Maybe this time you have a burger with your beer. Make small talk. Be approachable but not too friendly. So this is like, Zorblax B of the, Drybonian system being given his instructions for landing on Earth and trying to act like a human.
It's like those waiters who say, "Have you been to our establishment before?"
No, I haven't. Please.
If you make the mistake of saying no, like, okay, well, let me explain. Here's the menu on the left side here. These are our appetizers. These would be like smaller things that you could maybe share.
Right.
You want to go like, what the hell is happening here?
I am aware of how commerce and the concept of a restaurant works.
This is your first time here. Maybe just order a beer, then wait a couple days and come back. And then maybe order a burger with your beer.
And so Max is, I guess, taking it to heart. He's making small talk. He's being approachable but not too friendly. He also has given himself a haircut, has a beard and mustache, possibly false, so that when he is around town at Bruno's, his mom is not going to recognize him. It's all quite elaborate.
So he's doing the same thing as the drug guy then? Is
yes.
he wiping everything down with bleach when he's done at the bar at Bruno's?
Yeah, whatever. I don't know where he's staying either, but there's a chance that he walks in and sees Mr. Smith, and they've both bought the same brand of fake mustache, and it's very apparent to both of them.
Like, Party City, yes.
Yeah.
Party City.
First result on Amazon for fake mustache. Yeah, it was. But so he pulls it off, though. He does his first shift at Bruno's. He says, I went in and everybody seemed to be hanging in groups, either sitting at tables or standing around the pool tables. I went to the bar, took a stool, and ordered a draft. I drank my beer slow and watched. The wall behind the bar was mirrored, so that helped. Can we get to whether you saw a drug dealer? Max Jr. He says there were a couple of guys who seemed to be in charge, telling the others what to do and wearing big chains and rings and stuff. They had girls, or should I say women, hanging all over them. Pretty hot women, too. Their outfits left very little to the imagination, if you know what I mean. Yes, Max, you were describing a bar. We have all been there. We all understand how these things work.
Wait. There's Steve's response here. I don't want to give it away, so just read that last sentence.
Okay. There was women hanging all over them. Pretty hot women, too. Their outfits left very little to the imagination, if you know what I mean.
Did you know any of these people?
He chuckles at him.
Steve chuckles. Don't you think the response would be like, Could you just describe what? Stop. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. I
Big
don't even know what
chains
kind
and
of beer.
rings and stuff. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's a colossal failing in our police surveillance system. If you walked in here and identified obvious drug dealers from the first moment, some guy who's just trained as a car mechanic.
Yeah. But we get Max gets even more detail, which is just obviously not necessary.
Oh man.
I've never been in a bar before, actually. To which Steve does not chuckle at. Seems like he should be.
Uh-huh.
The thing is, my dad's a drinker and a loud drunk. We all tried to stay out of his way until he could go to bed and sleep it off. That turned me off booze. Now, look, don't get me wrong. I'll go out for pizza and a beer with the guys from work, but I usually beg off early and say, I got to get home. Could we get back to the drug dealers, please?
Right. And will
Our children are dying.
Stop parsing that he's going to a pizza place that serves beer, but he has not been to a bar. Like, yes. I've never seen a movie before. I've seen series of images set together at 24 frames per second, set in a hour and a half to 2.5 hour time frame to tell a coherent narrative story featuring actors and a musical score. But
damn it!
But we get a just absolute amazing backstory on Max. It turns out he's either one of the dumbest or most unfortunate men alive. He the first time he ever got in trouble with the law was when in high school he saw two guys beating up a scrawny rich kid trying to take his watch and cell phone. And Max ran up and said, like, hey, leave him alone. The thugs ran off and Max knelt to see if the kid was okay, just as the school security guard ran from the building. He saw Max bent over the kid and dragged him to his feet. The kid was pretty shaken up and wasn't sure if Max was one of the guys that attacked him. Thus began his juvie file.
Wow.
So the kid has gotten his ass kicked, and then he's like, I don't know if this was the guy, and they're like, we're hauling you off. It's like, well, he didn't even say, like, he didn't even say, I think it was him. He just, you'd think you might know what these people attacking you might be, right. But so he's wrongly accused of that, and after that the cops had him labeled, and anytime something happened at the school they came looking for him, such as the time he went outside for a smoke and there was a girl being attacked in her car. And Max took an interesting tactic here to scare the guy off. He said, "Bring it on, stud. Let's see what you got." So maybe that was something he heard out of the Hathaway's window at their when they went to bed early one night. And it says, the big guy turned on Max just as the police car pulled into the parking lot with sirens blaring. He looked from Max to the cop car, then he jumped into the sedan and took off. Of course, the police saw the girl running away half-dressed and Max standing there alone. Even when the girl swore he hadn't touched her, they didn't believe her. So, I mean, they've mixed the rough bar Brunos with obvious drug dealers. They are either massively corrupt or massively incompetent here.
Yeah, this is amazing. And then Max is just unable to say, but yeah, you can't charge if there's no one's pressing charges.
Right, yeah,
There's
exactly.
another person. You saw the car peel away.
The car screeched out. Yeah, you were wondering what was going on. She refuses
I
to
want
say
to know
anything.
which sister is doing this technique of, so this is supposed to be like a montage, right? It's
Yep.
supposed to be running in, maybe with just music and some slow-mo and not actual words spoken. Yeah. Even when the girl swore he hadn't touched her, they didn't believe her. They thought she was afraid to talk in case Max came after her again. Strike two. Wait, what? Strike two of what?
Right. Yeah, they're doing it in a very clumsy manner, so we are yet to know that there is a strike three, I guess, unless you read book 2 in the series.
Right.
But yeah, so then the strike 3 was stealing the quilt show money.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
that
was referenced earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the guy he was doing that to help Jeff. But Jeff got away with a slap on the wrist. No reason why. Again, just corrupt and incompetent cops. Whereas Max got 6 months in county and 6 months home confinement with an ankle bracelet. So he's got every reason to be bitter and jaded against a system that's dealt him a just massively unfair hand.
It really has been bad. But he does seem like a dummy. I mean, his description of going to a bar, his not being able to defend himself, he does not seem like the brightest bulb on the
Yeah,
on the tree.
Let's say, John Rambo shows up on his way back from Vietnam and you're going to have him stake out the bar. You're not going to be like, go back the next day and order a beer. He's like, you look like you got this, man. So Max must give off a real sort of, again, Rod from Epidemic energy of like,
Yes.
to put one foot in front of the other as you walk in the door. Do not drink out of the toilet while you're there. That will attract attention.
Here's a great, this is again this technique that snaps my head around. The other thing clear in his file, I assume this is Max's file, was that he was no dummy. He'd done well in his classes, even though it didn't look like he was really trying. Steve went to the sink and rinsed his glass before heading to bed. Wait, what?
It is. Steve was thinking about the whole. He rinsed his glass and moved on, just like Gabe did when he was thinking about the dead police chief.
The narration is coming from inside of Steve Croft's head. I guess that's what's happening.
Yeah, he was watching. There was a judge. Guilty, gavel slams. Paper spins. Max Jr. convicted again.
Steve rinsing a glass. Okay, all right.
Glass of milk because his ulcer was asking up. So, wow,
quite a technique.
Yeah, well, so that's where our tale ends for this time. There's 50 pages left in the book, so we've got to figure out who these bad guys are. We've got to see what Max's surveillance is like. We've got to figure out if they're going to put up more posters. Got to figure out if the Harriet who's packing is going to blow anyone's head off.
Who's the guy who shoots himself?
Well, there was a guy named Dom, I think Smith. Yeah, so we've got that coming. No reason. No way about why he's about to do that, although he has a ticket booked to Antigua, so something must go very wrong.
Okay, I have to admit that I just scrolled down a page because I'm on the ebook here. Chapter 23. 4 new characters on the first page.
No, it's impossible.
Sorry.
All dead kids, hopefully.
I'll scroll back off of them. Sorry.
All right. Well,
wow.
Let's wrap it up with some emails.
I think this as much as we are.
They are. We got a lot of emails, a lot of clarifications
Nice.
about Higa, a lot of clarifications about their own personal cozy level. We got this one from Michael, who wrote in with some potential cozy book names in the 372 verse. Hell of a Rigatonian Murder. Tinned Fish and Murder, a Michael J. Nelson mystery. The Jackal's Jack Back. Laney, the robot corgi pimp. Badminton and Blood Oaths. Murder She Murdered. Trucking Through Time, THYME.
Golf clap on that one.
Mike versus the Red Hat Society. Ready Cake Layer 1. It does keep going. Sourdough Moon, the Mr. E and EL Fudge story. Eye of Tarragon, a spicy crime. The Quilters traffic the sex traffickers. I imagine that Blariana must make an appearance in that one. And what else do we have? My Immobile, a wheelchair and crutches mystery.
Wow.
So some serious work here. I'd love to see some book covers for that if anyone is interested.
Yes, please.
Not that particular, but like other ones. The Red Lobster Racket. That's a good one. We also got this one that's a callback from Kent. Among the numerous Hannah Swenson mystery novels, there is one I believe that is missing. That's right. Banoffee Pie Murder.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Yes. Deep callbacks.
Yes.
This is from Sarah, who wanted to correct something that other people that we had sort of speculated on in the last episode. I have to confirm that not knowing your significant other's middle name is indeed possible. My mother hates her middle name and only uses the initial. She refused to tell my father while they were dating. Her parents are characters in a cozy mystery.
Yeah.
He only found out when they were actually getting married, and the officiant got to the, "Do you take this woman, Cheryl Mabel?" And my father said, "Mabel," loudly in the middle of the ceremony.
Wow.
And she says, please note, they had a very intimate wedding, only about 50 people.
Oh, yes. If I was picturing a larger one and just getting angry. So thank you for clarifying that. My father did not have a middle name.
Oh, wow.
And he only once voiced a reason for it, and it was a little bit bitter, he said, because my dad was too much of a lazy ass to even bother to give me one.
Oh, my God.
He did not have a relationship with his father. My grandfather was a town drunk. So
wow. Well,
anyway,
hanging out at Bruno's, maybe.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't there one president who had no middle name, or like their middle name was just an initial? Is that Harry S. Truman, maybe?
Oh, that could be. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Fact checked on that. So.
Yeah, exactly. Facts king. This is from Matthew. He says, I listened to your latest episode and I wanted to remark about your comments on pork and sauerkraut. You noticed it would be a cheap meal to make, and that is the purpose of it. It comes from cultures like the Pennsylvania Dutch that were historically poor or at least of modest income. They needed a meal for celebrations that wouldn't cost much.
I'm not knocking it.
I don't think, we were knocking the idea of it. I think we said it sounded delicious and we would eat it. It was the expectation that this was dropped as a common New Year's thing that we would all know about.
Yes.
This is from Peter. I questioned the author's judgment in making Gabe's ex-current's friend a 4-star general. I assume they don't have any concept of how ranks in the military work or the relative scarcity of a full general. But just for context, there have been only 246 4-star generals in the entire history of the U.S. Army. So keep in mind, if we hear any more about this character, God, I hope we do, he is supposed to be the equivalent of a Patton Pershing MacArthur Marshall.
Yes.
He says, authors, next time a 1 or 2-star general would suffice. They're a dime a dozen relatively.
That's amazing.
So that's, she brought Patton to her son's wedding, and then they had something else to do during the thing. Maybe he had to go and, manage an international conflict or something.
Right.
Let's say this is from Chelsea. She says, there are 4 violations of HIPAA, a law regarding protecting patient information that's been on the books on a national level since 1996 in Chapter 11 alone. 2 of them are direct from hospital employee Emma Irma and volunteer Sarah, and 2 indirect through Miranda herself. There is absolutely no way the 2 directly involved with the hospital do not know about HIPAA. They would be fired immediately and possibly fined along with the hospital. I work indirectly in medicine and get quizzed on HIPAA yearly, yet a total of 4 violations in one chapter is truly amazing. And let's see. We have this one from Manda. It says, in Chapter 12, Chief Jimmy announces the Cutler PD has charted every complaint and every crime within our town limits for the last 6 months. Imagine what that crazy wall of Cutler complaints must look like. Large impersonal weddings, deadly avalanches, middle-aged spread, teen week on Jeopardy, damn teen week, kids who wear black, kids who skateboard in the high school parking lot, kids who haven't experienced the smell of fresh ink in a new book, kids who will pop anything to escape their mundane existence, flabby upper arms, drug pushers from the big city, the entire interstate highway system, and Max Ryan Jr., that rat bastard. And she says, with all this drama, why isn't there a Cutler edition of CSI or Law & Order? I would watch or record it, especially if it followed Jeopardy.
Oh, yes.
And this last email is from Matthew. He says, the repeated beat of taking readers back to the living room for pizza, Jeopardy, and family talk seems to be an important part of the cozy theme. This brings back memories of Lair of the White Worm. Adam is constantly going back to the manor for chestnuts, wine, and completely inconsequential conversations on family history. Perhaps Bram Stoker is a pioneer in the cozy mystery genre.
Oh, that's right. It was pretty much ending every chapter, right?
Yeah, old guys cracking walnuts and, drinking wine until the candles went out.
Give me a report, dear boy. What was it? His uncle just loved him immediately.
Yeah. He was probably impressed by his special mongoose.
Yes.
Well, we have some dumb sentences. I think that some have not been covered.
A sentence begins with a capital letter. A capital letter is a letter that's big. A capital letter is not a small letter. A capital letter is big, big, big. A sentence ends with a period or an exclamation or a question mark.
Probably not as many dumb sentences as like a Klein book or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just a lot of banality, which is kind of funny, but
right.
But yeah.
For example, Jay wrote in, it feels so wrong to call anything in the Quilters pushback a dumb sentence because it's so wholesome, but there are some sentences that are more Quilters pushback than others, and this one grabbed me for its succinctness. We finished our salads in silence. This one is from Shane. He approached the desk and asked the nurse about the young girl brought in from her boyfriend's house. And he said, so the young girl was brought in from the nurse's boyfriend's house? What is She says, what else do we have? Oh, George submitted, she still wore her frowny face, frowny in quotes. I believe that's Diane. Seth submitted, I need to speak to someone, and Harriet's at the dentist. I believe that's Harriet's twin sister, I think Sarah.
Oh, yes, Harriet and Sarah. And who's their charge who works at the donut shop?
Oh, I mean, she hasn't been mentioned. I mean, again, I've got my eye on her, though. There's a reason Harriet's packing, right?
Yeah, that's true.
This is from Amanda. The thought of kids dying from overdoses right here under our noses were eating at my insides. Probably as she's eating a barbecue sandwich in January.
Yes.
This is from Andrew. Gabe had a nagging feeling he should have seen it coming. That's in reference to Jake's heart attack. This is from Mike. He said, after each one had spoken and made their points, the audience seemed to be shocked. He says, it's quite Kleiningen. You're narrating. You can just say they were shocked.
Yes.
Chelsea submitted, if you're anything, this is, she says, this is said by the chief of police. He says, if you're anything like me, you don't know much about these drugs.
Wow.
Hence probably the 80 ODs in the past 6 months.
Yes.
Let's see. Andy submitted, I expect you'll have the support of Cutler Quilt Guild #1, and that's formidable. So yeah, they're just ready to bust heads. And what else do we have? I have got something that did not get burned. Do you?
I do. This is just a sentence structure, so it's not a powerhouse. This is in Max Jr.
Okay.
Max Snyder? What's
Max Parker? No,
I don't know. He found the back door hanging open on a black sedan. That's just, if you're a 5th grade teacher, you're like, just write that sentence over, please.
Right, exactly. Wait, read it again?
He found the back door hanging open on a black sedan.
What is that in reference to?
That's when the girl is in the car.
Oh, great.
With tugging at her, then the guy's tugging at her underwear.
Yeah, hanging open. That's interesting. That's a good way to describe a door being open.
On a black sedan.
Right. Well, I have this is during the phone call that Miranda gets from Zoe. She says, I filled her in on our anti-drug battle. So the couple hundred posters has constituted their battle, as well as attending a school auditorium meeting where people chant something.
You went to a rally with, oh my God, that must have been, did you just want to die? Did you have a flask with you? Did you go out back and smoke? Like, no, we all sat there and chanted.
Yeah, we took to the streets chanting. It really brought the town together.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah, well, it's going in some good directions. People are going to die, more people. There's going to be some arrests. Hopefully, Harriet gets a chance to use her gun, blow someone's head off. You never know.
Do you think that her superpower of sniffing ink will come into any kind of, Chekhov's ink sniffers?
Yeah, she does. She does the thing where you you see something at a crime scene and you stick your fingers in it, then you rub it together between your fingers to figure out what it is. She does that with a fresh book and determines that the ink is fresh but not too fresh.
That's right. This is a 6-year-old book. I know exactly where he's going.
But they didn't start the Tea Shop Cozy Mystery Series until 2017. That's impossible.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I know these episodes are long in a good way. I think this is a fun book. I'm enjoying it. So
very
thanks.
fun. I love it.
Yeah, love it.
It's going to be one I don't want to give away to a lucky person at the end of the thing, but I will.
I know, giving it away and also having it to end. So, we went through Shadow Moon for 73 years, and this is just over. So
right.
That's too bad. But thanks again. Go to 372 pages on Patreon and check out all the stuff that's going on there. We thank you to all of our listeners, and a special thanks to our Patreon people for supporting us. This has been a lot of fun. So
yeah,
so
see you
long,
at Bruno's.
everyone. Yeah.